Hello, everybody, and welcome to the January 12th, 2015 edition of the Zombie Talk podcast. And I am your host, Tad. Hi. 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 I'm here again on another lovely Monday. On a Monday where there's going to be Monday Night Raw, but no one's really going to be watching that because Ohio State and Oregon, anyone? Yeah? But we have a very special guest on with us tonight. And by us, I mean Gil and Spence are in the background right now doing their things. But, yeah, we have a very special guest on this time. And I don't believe he's ever been on a talk show kind of thingy majigger since, RCWF went into live streaming, and then we did the main event network thing, and then now we're the Zombspun thing, and I think this is the first time period ever for him to come on. So let me just start off. Why don't you start it off by introducing yourself? Hello, Mr. Guest. Who are you?
I am Trent Reign.
Hear that? It's Trent Reign. Now, my very first question I have to give to you, Trent Reign, and it's a question I give to everybody that ever comes onto this podcast, is Zombie Talk Podcast. The name sucks, right?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Yes! Ha ha! Yes! Suck it, Gil!
It just doesn't phonetically flow out well at all.
I told you! Well, see, this is the thing. Like the first two guests, which were John Chaos and was it Sean Broderick? I think was number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, they said it sucked. Okay, and then the next
or Rogue, I can't remember.
Yeah, it might have been. And then the next 4, and then the next 4 were like, oh no, it's a good name. I like it. It's a good name. And then finally, on number 7, which this is our 7th podcast, You come back and say it sucks. So it's just a question that I asked to everybody. But I can see your point. It just doesn't like roll off the tongue.
No, like Zom talk would work because of Zom spawn. It's just short syllables, but zombie talk just doesn't. Zombie talk. Zomba talk. Zumba talk. We're gonna exercise.
Isn't Zumba like a? Isn't
Yes.
Yeah, it's like dance exercise.
yeah? I was gonna. Yeah. That'd be an interesting
Jazz hands.
That'd be an interesting podcast though. Is Zumba like I'm like doing Zumba on a cam
Zoom-
while I'm doing
Zumba
this.
talk with that feeder.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, speaking of that, it's kind of interesting that we're kind of touching on that topic, not to sway this towards this direction or anything, but I have been like seriously thinking about getting Just Dance 2015 for the Xbox One just to stream and have fun on cam and make a total ass out of myself. So, I don't know. That may be a little closer to the truth than what we think. Hmm.
Dance night with the Zom spawn community.
Yeah. Of course, of course. So, how are you? How are you, Trent Reign?
I'm doing very well, thank you. All things considered.
Interested in the football season at all?
Not not even close.
Not anymore?
No, I haven't been interested in about 3 or 4 years or so. I just kind of just lost all interest.
Really? As high a contender that Georgia usually is?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be all into it, but life just kind of started throwing other interests my way, and then eventually football just kept getting smaller and smaller down the ladder until it just. I don't think I've seen but maybe 5 seconds of any football game this entire past 2 years or so. I think it's been like maybe one quarter of the Falcons last year. I think that was it. That's all I saw.
Mm, okay.
It's not like I don't still like football. I do, but I just don't bother to just follow it or go see it.
Other things have been getting in the way.
Oh yes.
And not the Hawks either. No NBA.
No, oh never. I've never been into that. So I hear it has been picking up lately, but I think we're number one in the East or something. But I just really don't care.
You know,
I
I used
really
to be the
don't.
same way until the Thunder showed up. Now I'm all on board. I used to be like, screw NBA. I
They
don't.
get to really show up. Ooh.
Oh, come on now. Well, I mean, half of our players were injured this season. Now I believe KD's back, but I don't think he's 100% or something. I don't know. I've been busy too, so I haven't really kept. I do want to get tickets to go see a game. I haven't been able to go see a game. I finally was able to see an OU game this season here in Norman for the first time in my life. It was the Louisiana Tech game. I think that was week 1. So yes, I have
Yeah,
that in my
Maxwell
bag.
Squash match.
Oh yeah, it was a total squash. It was terrible.
Yes, the pick me up game.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course we know how the rest of the season panned out. And I'm not gonna even mention the bowl game. We're just gonna actually I'm just
Well,
gonna
that's
say what.
payback for last year when
Yeah,
Oklahoma beat Alabama.
yeah, we kind of crushed Alabama and they just kind of showed up and they're like, yeah, pin me, pay me, whatever. And then yeah, we got slaughtered this year. So
Yeah,
okay, no sports. How about wrestling? Follow wrestling at all?
even less
Really?
than football. Yeah,
Well,
I heard the news last year, and that pretty much, uh, I guess, adequately described the situation. That pretty much sealed the coffin shut.
the
I was
new
kind of putting it in there, and leaving it a little open. It's like, maybe maybe it'll come back to life in my brain. But nope. The Brock Lesnar Undertaker WrestleMania. That was it. Seal it.
really
Shut
that
it up.
that did it for you?
That did it.
Wow.
I'm done.
Hmm.
No further care.
You know, a lot of people were like, fuck wrestling, I don't care anymore, and I can see where people are coming from on that. At the same time, I saw what happened there, and I can also see where they were going with. And I'm always in a situation where I try to patch things up and move on and repair it.
Hmm.
But even I have to go back and say, okay, they could have picked maybe someone a little better.
Yeah, that's all they had to do is just pick someone acceptable. I went through a whole list of people, like pretty much everyone that came the years before that loss. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, you know, Edge, I guess a little if you wanted to go that far. Not Mark Henry, he wasn't on the list, but it's like here's a list of acceptable people for Undertaker to lose the streak to. Brock Lesnar's never on that list.
But would you actually go as far as to think though that maybe what they were thinking about when they did that and they booked that, and maybe even Taker wanted it to happen too, was the legitimacy that Brock Lesnar brought to the table as being a former UFC World Heavyweight Champion. Like, I mean, through all the years, Undertaker has destroyed all these pro wrestlers left and right, all this whole time. But in comes this UFC guy who's a legit fighter. He's not just a baby oil pro wrestler. He's a legit fighter, and he beat the streak. Do you kind of see where they were coming from if it on that situation?
I see that they lined him up as an opponent who one of the people who could beat the Undertaker, yes, but he's also just so wishy-washy. I mean, what's he done with the title? Did he win the title after all this, Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
Did they end up making him champion?
Last I'm like the worst person to ask on this because I don't really watch it either. But last I heard, he's still the champ.
He
Okay, because I
destroyed
haven't.
John Cena at the Night of Champions with 16 German suplexes and then left with the title for now.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you what my projection is on how this is all going to pan out, and so far it's been correct. Would you care to hear it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. You got WrestleMania coming up, and nobody can deny that that's WWE's cash cow, right? That's where they get all their finances in.
Well, that's where they're going to try.
Right. Well,
They're losing money left and right now.
but this is the thing. When it comes time for WrestleMania season, they got to put in the biggest draw that they can to get as many ticket sales and merch sales and everything that they can because it's WrestleMania. So what I'm thinking is Lesnar, and I was saying this way back when Lesnar, before he even won the belt, to be honest with you. I said, and I've always said, that Lesnar was going to be the champion. He's going to retain it at the Rumble. And then he's going to retain it at the next one, or maybe not even have a title match, maybe like a tag match or something, whatever. Or he may not even show up, whatever. But it'll lead to WrestleMania in March, and it'll be Lesnar versus The Rock. It'll be the biggest movie action person ever. Yeah, I think he's the top paid actor right now in Hollywood, versus the only legitimate UFC World Heavyweight Champion to ever be WWE Champion in a match, and it's also a rematch from that SummerSlam that they had where Lesnar beat Rock. The Rock will go over, making him champ again. This will give Lesnar an out to go back to UFC. From what I'm hearing, he wants to go back. And then you got The Rock as the champion, and then that allows him to put over anyone that they want to put over. Insert, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, whatever you want to put in. But at the biggest event of all, you've got the top paid actor in Hollywood versus the UFC guy. I think that's what they're going for. And so far, it's looking like that's what it's going to be. But again, we've still got the Rumbles yet to come, and I would even go as far as to say The Rock wins the Rumble.
I didn't. So he is there participating at this time.
I don't think I don't think he's been announced as an actual like I'm going to show up and blah blah blah. I think he'll
be like number 30.
Yeah, something like that, or maybe like on the Raw before the Rumble. He'll just show up and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what's up? I'm back. I'm gonna be in the Raw Rumble. Jabronis, blah blah blah."
If he shows up, I'd give that theory pretty high credentials.
All right, so let's ask Gil because he watches a lot. I think how the scope of wrestling right now that it's gonna. Is there a number one contender
for WrestleMania?
For
currently, the number one contender is John Cena.
What's he doing?
And they're gonna face. He's going to be facing Brock Lesnar at the Rumble, and I think it got turned into a triple threat match with Seth Rollins, who still has the case because I don't get it, but he still has the case. So unless they do a whole thing where they have a triple threat match and beat each other down, and someone pins someone, and then he cashes in, I don't know. A lot of people are pegging either Roman Reigns or Dolph Ziggler to win the Rumble, but they're currently doing in a storyline where Dolph, Eric, and someone else got fired by the Authority, who's back now. The Authority got Kayfabe fired because their team lost Survivor Series, and Vince McMahon made it that only John Cena could bring him back, so Seth Rollins forced John Cena to bring him back by threatening to curb stomp Edge into the briefcase. And then he said he was going to do it anyway, and John Cena stopped him, which made it all pointless.
Said he was going to kill him.
Like most WWE storylines. Pointless.
Big Show turned heel again on John Cena
For like the 50th
by punching
time.
him again to side with the heel authority figure again. Someone else got fired. I can't remember who it was. It was the other person of Team Cena that wasn't Big Show or
Ryback.
Ryback. Oh yeah, Ryback got fired, but he'll be back to feud with Rusev.
You know who else got fired?
And oh yeah, who?
3-man band.
Well, most of them. 2 of them got fired, and the other one's dealing with a legal issue at the moment, so they might bring in Tyler Breeze from NXT to replace him.
Meanwhile,
There's
Trent, Trent has no idea who any of these names are, right?
Oh yeah, and Sting came to WWE.
Oh yeah. Did you see that, Trent?
No, I didn't, but hooray.
He
He'll
showed
get
up
one
and beat up Triple
WrestleMania.
H.
He's done.
No. Trent is just one of those Undertaker fans that just cannot believe that he lost to Lesnar. He'll never let it go, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, if it would have been anyone but Lesnar, I probably could have let it go.
Seeing what happened out of it.
But wishy-washy Brock Lesnar was not the best of choices.
But he's married to Sable. Doesn't that make up for it?
And he's the fucking world champion and only shows up like...
leftovers making up for it.
He's the champ and only shows up like once every month.
Hey, what are you?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
What are you saying about Outlaw on Livewire? Come on.
That Outlaw is our Brock Lesnar. Come at me.
So what's Buzz then?
Kevin Nash, the way it should.
At least Nash showed up.
Outlaw.
So does that make Buzz the John Cena?
That would be ironic.
I know, right?
Buzz Cena.
All right, so there's your wrestling.
Outlaw.
Let's talk about a little bit. We just brought up Outlaw, so let's talk about some old school. Do you remember what year you started role-playing in RCWF?
Oh, heavens. 2003?
Because you and Eddie Cool were kind of... You guys...
They were in the same dungeon.
Yeah. We had the old school dungeon before there was a, live stream this and HD PVR that and Dazzle DVC this and console that. Well, I was ahead of my time. Yeah, it was chat.
Oh, yeah.
I was ahead of my time though.
Not seen by anyone. Yeah.
I was taking screenshots from the games and using those in pictures and banners and stuff. And looking back, it's kind of crazy that how I was ahead of my time like that. Do you remember when people, the ones from the other feds, used to laugh at me for using pictures from video games?
Yeah, a little bit. They're like, oh.
Those graphics are terrible. Why are you doing it?
They're terrible. That's just now. Anyone could have been able to tell them that, but oh well, whatever.
And then
that character looks goofy because it had goofy customization options and whatnot. There wasn't that much detail in it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like Raw 2 on the Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Day of Reckoning for the GameCube.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they would use like, here's John Bob and his pictures him and him.
Actual people pictures and people from anime and stuff like that. Like here's the main one was other people's pictures, like real life people, and this is what my character looks like.
Yeah. And then
I'm Pam.
yeah, you would look at a picture and it would be like Eminem versus Mel Gibson, but it would actually be
Yeah.
like wrestler names. And then that they would make fun of me for like trying to be a little bit realistic and creative and use pictures that at the time I was just aiming a camera at my TV screen and using my floppy disk camera to drag the photos off that. Because this was before YouTube. This was before Facebook. This was before all the multimedia.
It was before Google.
Yeah,
Google
exactly.
didn't even exist.
Yeah, yeah. This is like the primitive era of the internet right here we're dealing with. So it's kind of crazy. Now looking back, I think I've been in live streaming now for 7 years, and now it's just crazy how the technology has moved on.
I saw some from 2K15 or whatever on the next gen consoles. It's like, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah, those graphics are
One-
amazing.
It didn't tell the difference between the camera for Raw and then the video game version of Raw. It won't be able to tell.
Yeah, I've been one of the hugest critics about 2K15. I'm not gonna lie. In this community, I've been the one to be like, fuck that game, go die in a fire, terrible. I mean, just look at
Any
QCW.
of them.
Look at QCW. We're on 2K14 again this season, and you know what? If there's one thing that I would say good about 2K15, it's the graphics. So I will praise the graphics on that game all day long.
And that's all I've seen is the graphics. I know nothing else about the game.
Yeah, well, just to give you a little bit of what is in store in the game. Well, basically they chopped out all ability to have custom theme songs. They took out the custom belts. They took out the custom arenas. They dropped the cause down to 20 instead of 100. They took out a ton of the custom entrances.
So they basically told all E-Feds online to go fuck themselves. Basically.
Yeah, and this is coming from a guy that had absolutely no idea what happened. So yeah, Trent, as an outsider to this and opening your eyes to this, yes, your statement there is absolutely correct.
It was a brand new game company working on it, though, right? Or was it the same as 2K14?
It's well, THQ went down, and now it's all 2K.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
I didn't know if someone picked it up.
A lot of people say, well, this year was a rebuilding year. They chopped a lot of stuff out, and then they'll start adding it back next year. And I'm okay with that, but I'm not gonna sit here and hold my breath and have my fingers crossed and go, oh, gee, giddy, gibbity goo, I can't wait for 2K16. Oh, it's going to be the greatest game ever. I'm never, ever like that. I'm like, you know what? I will make my judgment when that CD is in my console and it's spinning and I'm playing it and I actually see what is on the game.
Did they at least increase the single-player campaign to like another 3 years, or is it still garbage?
To be honest with you, I haven't really touched that much of my career. Maybe Gil knows more about that.
You usually spend most of your time after you get it past the. First, you have the performance center where Hugh Morris screams at you. Then you have NXT, which goes by pretty easily. You usually stay there about a month after you beat Neville for the title. And then you get onto SmackDown and Raw and have a bunch of meaningless matches while waiting to get a title shot. So just like Dolph Ziggler, and then you win the world title, and then you immediately end your career on WrestleMania. It skips ahead 10 years to your retirement.
Sounds amazingly terrible.
It is.
So technically, every time you get a world title match, you could purposely lose to keep the career going?
Yes. But that's for the Raw's world title. We can win the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown because they still have to split belts. But eventually you'll have to drop that to go to Raw.
Okay.
I miss when you could play 3 to 4 years. That was decent. You could actually sit there and play your career on the game for like maybe 2 or 3 in-game day, 2 or 3 actual in real life, because you'd actually have to go through each season. But I guess that's too much work for them now.
That was like the Here Comes the Pain and the Just Bring It stuff, right?
Yeah, and SmackDown versus I think, yeah, and SmackDown versus Raw. I think 2006 maybe. Not the first SmackDown versus Raw. That one was in. But it's whenever they finally. I can predict it because it was pretty much right before the voices came in. When they started adding in all the voice clips, that's when all the seasons started getting smaller because they couldn't get everyone to record, 3 game years worth of material. So they just did all these little short skits instead of just having it be scripted and random text. So then it could just be whoever the hell you wanted it to be, and that's way better in my opinion. Because you can have more creative control, I guess you should say. You could randomize the opponent. Yeah, the opponent may say the same thing, but what the hell? Why is Rey Mysterio coming up after me like this? This just don't make any damn sense. But oh well, time to kick his ass.
And they had the curse going there for a while. I don't know if you ever paid any attention to that, but they had like the whole Eddie Guerrero, and then he died, and then the Chris Benoit and Undertaker, and then Benoit did his thing like a year after or whatever. Am I getting that
No,
right?
I didn't pay.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Everyone who was like a main feature.
Well, Undertaker had this deal where he was like stalking Chris Benoit, and he said something in the game like you'll rest in peace or something like that. And then it was like the next year after that was when the whole Benoit thing happened. And then the one
I do know the quote.
Oh, yeah, what is the quote?
It was like, if you keep interfering with me, Benoit, not even your family will forgive you.
Oh!
And then the whole thing, of course, happened the next year. And then I think the
Irony.
game, the game before that had something with Eddie Guerrero. Oh, it was like Zombie Eddie Guerrero, or what was it?
It ended in a casket match with Eddie
Yeah, it
stealing the
ended with a
urn.
casket match. Yeah, I remember
Basically,
that one.
if you win,
God damn it.
And then, Eddie died right after that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, like 2 months after the game's release.
Yeah, so.
Whoops.
Yep, whoopsies.
It's just, that's how shit happens. Like that comic book that was released on 9/11 showing towers falling.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
I think it was like a Superman comic, something like that. So it just shit happens. It's coincidence.
Let's talk about shit happening. When you first came in, do you have any recollection at all as to how RCWF was like for a little noob like you?
What's the word? I should look for it. It was enjoyable, but it was definitely for the elitists.
Really?
Yeah, you kept it based pretty well, but it was pretty much obvious that if you wanted to get any respect from all the other members, I should say, you pretty much had to get up into their level. You had to get elitist.
And by elitist,
you can't be typing like the Black Dragon and like Big Bob and
and you know
are
what?
you clothesline har roll.
Right. And with you saying that, and then me saying, who was it that I was with? It was like 2 podcasts ago or something. We were talking about the comparison of how RCWF role played as compared to how the role play was in like HPWF and the other ones. So it's crazy how you say that. Like, you could tell is the elitism in the RCWF when our elitism was like a laughingstock compared to these guys' representation of elitism.
In HPWF.
Right.
HPWF was like the elitist capital. It was just there.
Like a DDT is
you couldn't even join the roster, I don't think.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a form. You had to like know somebody to get in, pretty much.
Yeah. You better be able to type 7 posts per move.
Right, like a 7-paragraph DDT and stuff. But I can see where you're coming from on.
Goody, every match takes 5 hours.
Yeah. Yep. But I can see where you're coming from on the elitism in RCWF, and that we did have people that would just do like colon colon DDT colon colon and then roll their dice, and it's like, okay, come on, dude, come on.
Yeah, you gotta put some effort into it, but
And then you
if you were
had
misspelling that, they kind of ignored you too, and they'd get mad. It's like, oh, I'm losing to this scrub. It's like, it's dice, man. Just it happens.
yeah.
Just because you type better than the dude doesn't mean you're gonna roll better than the dude.
Mm-hmm.
I know that firsthand.
So as little babyface little Trent Reign in the dungeon, that's how you felt. Like, oh, I should get better. I should add more words into my role plays, and then maybe then I'll get accepted. Did you ever feel that way with me though? Did you ever feel like, oh, Tad is just ignoring us, and unless we get better, then he'll pay more? Or did you feel that I gave people a fair shake, no matter?
No, you gave people a fair shake. That's what I mentioned earlier. It's like you kept it. Oh, you didn't like push down on. The Nublets still got matches and whatnot, and you were. Some people were encouraging, but I was talking about more like respect amongst the rest of the roster.
Oh, okay.
Jay and Mark and Dan and everyone else that I can't remember. Roz,
Nate,
everyone. Nate, yeah, well, Nate wasn't as bad either, but
so
they,
go ahead.
I never felt the pressure because I kind of just came in. I already had been. No, I wasn't ever in a chat fed, but I'd been, a big chat room role player for a long time. So I'd already been grilled in the lessons and whatnot before then. So I actually came onto the scene. I'm like posting like 3 or 5 post entrances and stuff like that. So they were like, "No, you'll do fine," and the rest is, as they say, history. But
now, as you continued to stay in RCWF and found out, oh, this is actually pretty cool. This is kind of something I want to do on my Tuesday nights. And as years went on, and you found yourself as more of a mainstay / main event / world champion, getting a push and top of the card status type of guy. Looking back in hindsight,
as a face of all things.
Yeah, of course. Do you now, looking back in hindsight, kind of see where they were coming from to the noobs like that? Now that you're you have been kind of in their position for years now, kind of protective, kind of making sure that people know how things are going to run.
Yeah, that's always been a decent step because you got to figure out. It's all about the respect. You got to know how things work. You can't just come in and be like, "Give me a title match. I'm better than you. I want to face John Chaos at the main event. I want Tad Peters." You got it's like, no, dude. You got to fight. I'm not gonna name any names because I could say someone who's here and be like, "Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to call you a scrub." But you got to fight the low totem pole. You got to fight that person first. You can't just jump right into the fucking world title chase. Get down there and start going after the dungeon title, the TV title back then. Mm-hmm. Yes, Mike Burke, you're a scrub.
Everybody knows that. But I was just... okay, so as you came out of the dungeon, I believe this was like NRCW, maybe GCW time. Was your first kind of starting point when you first came in? And then, if I recall correctly, this time for Trent Reign was an alliance with X-Fighter, I think, and doing like the...
I was in the Revolution.
The Revolution, yeah. And then you guys had the
New Revolution.
Yeah. And then you guys had the feud with DX, I think, or were you guys DX?
I don't even remember there being too much of a feud. To be honest with you, I know the very first thing that happened to me was that random tag team tournament, which was a great idea. I liked that. I wish we could do that, something like that again, but that was cool. When the title belts were vacated, so you're like, screw it. Everyone here gets a number. We roll. that's your tag team partner. Whoever wins the tournament's the tag team champions. And it was me and I'm a terrible person for suddenly forgetting him. I should never forget him.
It wasn't Scarecrow, was it?
No, it was Chamber like in 2005. He had two names and he went to one. Sometimes he had the crow face.
Damon Steele.
No.
Tyson Hunt.
Like Johnson or Jackson or something like that. Or Nate would probably
Jack
be
Johnson.
shouting at me right now. Huh?
No, he's just pulling your chain.
No.
It wasn't.
It's someone in the Hall of Fame.
Someone in the Hall of Fame.
I feel absolutely terrible now.
It wasn't. I'm trying to think. Elimination. It wasn't like. It wasn't like Jake Michaels or Josh the Crazed One or Chris Craven. I'm just gonna go down the list. Wasn't Jordison Man of the Globe?
It was Jordison.
Okay.
Yes, there it was.
All right.
I knew it was like I said Jackson Johnson. I couldn't remember. But
Which is funny because these days we have a guy called Jack Johnson.
Oh, go figure. Yeah, it was Jordison. Me and Jordison got to the finals against we beat the Eliminator and like the Undertaker. We're on the same team because there was someone role playing the Undertaker. And then we lost to like X Fighter and someone else. I can't remember who won it.
Yeah,
it was so long ago.
I vaguely remember that. Like we're talking like 2003, maybe 2004 right now.
Yeah, early 2003.
Yeah,
something like that. Because I know I couldn't make the event, so Jordison had to go after the titles by himself at the pay-per-view, and that's why we lost. Because I was silly and went to band like I was supposed to. Went to the football game because I was in the band.
You were in the band. What instrument?
I was bass drum, but then I became a manager, so I should have just not been there. So
been like, sorry guys, I'd be there with you, but there's this thing called RCWF.
Yeah, that doesn't go over well with your buddies. It's because I was the captain, so not being there for that would kind of piss me off.
Yeah,
so it's like that.
That's great.
But I learned early on that you could be manager and still get all the perks without having to carry around a big ass heavy bass drum. So
nice.
But I'm 6'4", you know how big I am. So that shows you how fucking big and heavy that damn bass drum was.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone else can have that.
So you had the random tag tournament. Jordison ended up not winning the thing. Do you remember like any other moments during I mean we're gonna try to keep this because you didn't really have, you were kind of MIA for the Umbrella Nationals and then like NGPW, weren't you, until later on?
Oh yeah, I mean I always remember like the timeline. Right after that was Jordison went after the Eliminator for the title or whatnot, and that's when I swerved and joined the New Revolution. Because X Fighter and all of them, Andy and all of them liked my respect and my sense of role play. Because I wasn't just some scrub coming in there, I'd actually be typing out long descriptive posts and I'd paint the picture basically in the match, so you could see how everything was going. So they liked that, and so they had it to where I was there helping Jordison against the Eliminator, and then I turned and hit him with the title belt and knocked him out, setting up that huge Trent Reign Jordison feud, best of 5 series or whatever. And then Jordison disappeared. We all know how that happens, but Jordison just kind of stopped showing up.
Yeah, that kind of saddened me because he was actually really cool. He never started any drama. He was there.
I think he had drama is why. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it must
something
have been,
was happening. That's why he stopped showing up.
It must have been something that I wasn't aware of, but as far as I always looked at him, he never was someone to cause drama or want to start anything. He was just there to have fun and enjoy it. And then he would later come back in 2005 to NGPW, for a little
Oh
while.
yeah, and then he won the Elimination Chamber and the title, and actually had a good run when he came back too.
Because that was about the time that I brought in Nosferatu character, and then me and Jordison, Nosferatu and Jordison had some badass hardcore matches together.
For a good long while, and that Hell in a Cell and whatnot.
Yeah, we had like a House of Horrors, like a amusement park, like a haunted house death match, and stuff. There's a lot of sick stuff that me and him had there during that time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was after that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it was after that the I got the I guess they got a little TNR got a little more creative control, and I ended up going after the X Division title.
Yeah.
Yeah, the X Division title, and then that got fused with the Hardcore title, which became the X Core title. And then at GCW's last pay-per-view in chat was that X cable match where you had to climb the cable. I don't know where that came from. I think it was from TNA or something.
Yeah.
So the X cable had to climb the cable, and my internet crapped out. But I did the post, so you rolled the dice for me, and the dice came out like 30, and I ended up retaining the title.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was the last time, and I respected you for that. So right after that, when the whole drama and the end of it all came about, that's why I didn't join Jay when he started his new little fed.
Yeah, and when we had Nate on here a couple weeks back, we talked all about that, like the end of NRCW and the end of GCW, how that came to be, like how I wanted to take a break, and then Jake Michaels kind of took over. And then that's when Jay kind of stepped in and tried, taking over. And then the GCW end of the thing was, Jordison had been dominating as man of the globe for like 4 months. He was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And then the Eliminator wanted to, get in after he had already beaten Guy Silencing for the world title for 200. Guy Silencing had the belt for 200 plus days. And back then, that was huge. That was a huge achievement for that. And it's not like how it is now in the multimedia era, because in the chat era, you defended your titles a lot more frequently. So he was able to do that and add that to his repertoire, his belt. So then he's like asking me, like, oh, Jordison has been man of the globe. Why don't you let me? This is as him as world champion. Let me, take him out and enter the man of the globe. And I'm like, all right, being the nice guy I am, I'm like, all right, whatever. Chances are he probably won't win. Well, sure enough, he goes there and actually beats him, which under normal circumstances, that's an awesome achievement to not only diffuse Guy Silencing's long title reign and be world champion, but also diffuse Jordison's reign as man of the globe after he had won it for like 4 months back to back. Normal circumstances, that'd be a huge, like, awesome thing, but unfortunately, it's the way that he handled it once he did that. Like, right afterwards, he's like, I'm gonna...
his ego a bit too much.
Right, yeah, he's like, I'm gonna retire the belt and go start my own fed. And it's like, what? You just did all of this, you did all of this, you did all of this, and you did all of this, and now you're gonna just, I'm just gonna retire the belt and go start my own. So obviously, I'm going to take a little bit of offense to that. And that's when
everything kind of shut down. And I think Umbrella Nationals was a little bit after that. But yeah, obviously you didn't know which side I was on, and Jay knew I wasn't on his side. I was just like, I'm just not going to deal with it. And I went on doing my high school stuff. But.
Yeah, because that was, let's see, because 2004 was GCW, and then
the end of it,
the end of it, because that was about the time that Andy died, X-Fighter. He died in October that year.
Yeah, it was a couple of months after that, I believe, was when everything started hitting the fan, and that's when it ended. So right at the end of 2003, beginning 2004.
Yeah. And then,
no, end of 2004. You're right. End of 2004.
Yeah, it was the end of 2004 because Andy died and he had that condition. And that even got brought up from the fight. Like, oh, you're trying to act all nice to him, and he was my friend.
I was a best friend.
Yeah, that, just stupid and just really disrespectful. But that was the end of '04, and then about the same time, I had been already talking to HPWF and the guys over there and patching that all up because that was a huge monumental thing too. Because for so many years, HPWF was like the devil, and then they thought of us as the devil. Like nobody could get along between those two.
Nope.
It was always
We
warring.
got screwed with Tad. We got a Montreal screw job, so we're over in HPWF now. We're the Bradley brothers. Oh,
And a lot of it was more played and built up than it really should have been. A lot of people just got bored of one and just wanted to try out the other. And now that I'm
pretty
older,
much.
I can look at it more mature. But back then, I was a little asshole. And when someone just didn't want to be in RCWF anymore, and I found out that they went over there, I took it fucking personal. That was just the way I
Yeah,
was.
you're a fire.
Right. But now that I'm older and I'm looking back on it and everything, it's like I can understand that if you sit there and do the same thing over and over and over and over again for years, you're gonna get tired of it. You're gonna get bored of it. You want to try something new and see what this other stuff is all about. So I can understand it now, looking back. But back then, man, it was not the.
All teenage hormones.
Oh yeah, because I was like a teenager telling other teenagers what to do, and man.
Exactly. Doesn't work out too well.
But that's what was so amazing about when I was able to patch things up with those guys and do the Umbrella Nationals. It's like, wow, RCWF and HPWF are doing the same event in the same chat room and able to organize, a group of matches for 2 nights in one event. That was like unbelievable that something like that happened. And then that was January '05. And then that's when I'm like, you
Yep.
know what? That's it. That's all I got to do. I've done everything I can do as a role player, as an eFed owner. I'm out. I'm done. And then
Yeah, for
that's
4 months or so, 5 months.
right. And then that's when like Babu and Rogan and Silencing Gal came and like, man, you should start one up again. This was like March, like 3 months later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'll start up in GPW, start New Glory Pro Wrestling. But you had left way before all of that, and you kind of skipped out on all that. And then I think it wasn't until maybe the end of '05 or maybe even '06 that you came back. And then you
Yeah,
had
I believe that was Rogan Reed again, if I'm not mistaken. It was him or Dan, but I think it was Rogan Reed. Oh hell no, it may be even worse than that. It might have been Rainer Crimson. Someone came into the Yu-Gi-Oh chat because that's where I just went to hang when I wasn't doing anything outside of in life. Because at that time I actually made a group of friends and was actually out bowling and shit like that. And we did that. We hung out almost all the time. But then when I was just sitting at home one day, I think Rainer Crimson came in and goes, "Dude, why do you talk? You sound so familiar from talking." It's like, "I think I know you." And I was like, "Yeah, JC, it's you know Trent Reign." He's like, "Oh, dude, we've been doing this Fed for like 6 months. You got to get over here." I was like, "Oh, okay." And here we are. Rogan Reed's the one who gave me my name. That's what that was. He's the one who scouted me.
Yeah.
But and then JC's the one who brought me back in the GPW.
And then in your
And
run in NGPW was probably the
that's
most
when it all
memorable, I would
yeah,
say.
that's where we started off. Yeah, where it all
Because
began again.
because in NGPW you came in and you had to deal with Nate as the what was it, the new revolution or something.
No, it was just the NWO. NWO.
Yeah, we
I don't know
had
what he's. I don't know what he's. It was you. It was more. Peters was basically fighting the dead zone constantly when I came in.
yeah. But I remember you and Nate as a tag team, just you two, had some weird like knockoff name though from
Oh,
the
we were
Revolution.
just the Revolution. That was when you started GCW 2.0 with the 2D6 dice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's when the IWA thing. was going down.
Yeah, the IPA thing when we were pulling that apart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That Rumble.
Oh yeah, we actually brought that up on Nate's podcast. You ought to go back and check that podcast out. It's hilarious.
Probably should. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
was in everyone's inbox telling them which targets to pick. I was like, look, you three on this one, you three on this one. We're going to eliminate one person.
how
It's
stupid
like,
was it of them though to put all of us in like the final 10 spots of the Rumble though? Did he not think
I
that?
know. It's like, we may hate each other in our, we might fight each other in our feuds, but damn it, now it's RCWF versus IWA, and
Right.
no, your ass. We were
I-
the final 12.
Yeah.
I was the last of RCWF to be eliminated before the IWA guys, and then it was all RCWF.
I guess they thought like, okay, well, I guess Chris, because that was his name, Chris. I guess he felt
Yeah.
like putting us all in the last spots and putting all the IWA guys in first was that, oh, RCWF, there's no honor amongst them. They'll just fight each other. But what it ended up being was like there's like 5 RCWF guys in the ring. There's 5 IWA guys in the ring. There was nobody on RCWF fighting RCWF. It was RCWF
Nope.
kicking IWA's ass until they
The
were
final
all...
11, I believe, were all RCWF.
Right. So then RCWF completely took over that Rumble, and I was just like, I was like laughing my ass off in IMs to like everybody. And then of course Nate ended up winning, and then winning the title because that match was for their belt because it was vacant.
Yeah. So
And then-
RCWF was the IWA World Champion.
Right. Yeah. And then later they would no sell it and then redo the whole thing over again because they weren't happy.
Well, it's because 4 of their members quit because of the Rumble.
Yes. That was. Yep. I remember that now. Yeah, they were all salty. They're like, how could you book that? You let some RCWF guy have our world title now? What? This is stupid. I quit.
And 2 of those guys ended up coming over to RCWF because of it, too, because they liked it. Mike Theory and some other guy. All I remember is Mike.
Mike Theory and I think it's Darian Hagaga or whatever.
Yeah, it was it. Daring Gaga.
Gaga. Yeah.
Hakakaga.
Yeah,
Hakaga.
that was fun
but I like-
times. That whole Fed though, that whole situation was just I mean, God, talk about
It was a clusterfuck.
yeah, it was a total clusterfuck.
But yeah, that was definitely some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, because
'Cause-
at that point the drama was kind of gone. The drama.
No, it was joking more than anything.
Yeah, I would call NGPW kind of like our growing up and maturing period. We weren't quite what we are now in 2014, 2015, but we weren't I wasn't much of an asshole with power as I was 5 years before that, and I was starting to like come into my own, and everyone else was starting to just chillax and just have fun with it instead of
Yeah.
ripping
It
each-
was the Tad Nate Trent NWO era.
Yeah, man,
That was fun.
We had some good. And while me and Nate were doing our More Peters thing and fighting for the world title while we were the tag champs and the Dead Zone, with your lead pipe doing the whole beating the shit out of Mari Tribal kind of thing. Why don't you walk us through that? How'd that all go down?
Oh, that was good fun. I had tried to win the hardcore title legitly, like maybe twice or 3 times, and then either Rainer Crimson came in, it was a hardcore battle royal, and just fucked me over with his giganticness. And then there was an over the top battle royal, which we all know that I'm like John Chaos. John Chaos has actually won one, I've heard. I still haven't. It's just like the worst luck ever for me is over the top battle royal. So just the worst. Royal Rumbles doesn't matter. They're my bane of existence. And then there was the 4-man hardcore battle royal, and CM Punk ended up winning that one because he came in and pinned like Rainer Crimson right after I just knocked him out or something like that. So I mean, he hit him with his finishing move, but I got distracted by. I was caught what we called in move, so I couldn't actually go over there and stop what was happening because some other jerk had gotten in my way. So I was bitter ZM Punk being the hardcore champion. And so I just rolled with it because I wasn't actually bitter. I was just cool. But then you did that random, what was it, Bloody Tuesday?
Was
I think
that
that's what you called it.
was that where the dudes teamed with the chicks on tag teams?
No, it was where everyone was decided. Again, everyone was decided by dice, and the conditions were decided by dice as well. And it ended up being Mari Tribal versus CM Punk in a first blood match at Bloody Tuesday.
Oh yeah, that must have been
And
Bloody Tuesday. Yeah. Okay.
because it was the dice decided everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I sat there for a minute and I was like, wait a minute, this is a perfect opportunity because they've been going around, kind of hinting that they were, kind of going to be in a relationship and stuff like this and whatnot. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to help push this along and further my career at the same time. So they're just sitting there having their match, and then both were like one away from bleeding. And I was just standing at the side watching CM Punk, and right at the last second, I jumped on the apron and hit Mari Trouble on the back of the head. And it was a max dice. It was 30-10 for 30 for the hit and then 10 for the bleed. So she was just busted open.
Do you remember how
And
she sold it? Did she sell it? Or
Yeah,
was
she sold it great. It's just like The Rock getting hit with the sunner. She was just like, and then just fell over.
Nice.
And it was one of those perfect spots, where the dice just happened to agree with your way of thinking, and everyone else, saw the picture was painted, and everyone laughed, and it was like, oh my god! And that was the first heel movement of Trent Reign. And of course, it ended up with CM Punk versus Trent Reign at Hardcore Heaven or whatever the hell it was called, and I beat him by giving him a suplex brainbuster onto some steel steps.
Nice.
And that started the 144 day hardcore title reign.
Yeah, yeah. That lasted all the way
Which was,
into,
like you said, it was chat day, so it was defending constantly.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not
Mostly
like
against Randy Crimson.
it's not like the cupcake reigns that you get nowadays in the multimedia area where I'll probably end up defending once a month, and that'll be at a pay-per-view. No, these were a lot tougher, lot grueling schedules way back in those days.
Yeah, once or twice a week, depending on which day it was. Oh, those were some of my favorite moments because I kept the hardcore title through 3 battle royals or hardcore invitationals, like just like mall brawls and stuff like that. Like at Hardcore Heaven, I won the 21-man hardcore fight, and I still retained the title because it pissed off Mr. Highlight, Rich Birch, because I pinned him with my finger.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
He was on top of a car, and I just came in and hit him someone else choke slammed him through the sunroof, and while he was slammed through the sunroof, I just put my finger on him.
That sounds
from the outside.
That sounds like something that I would have done. That sounds like a move that I would have done. It just sounds vaguely remember, but I can't. Yeah, those are fun.
I think it was one of the Dead Zone in the hardcore. It was the Ghost. But we got choke slammed through it. So I reached in from the driver's side window and gave him with the finger pin of doom.
And then when you always get that 29 or 30 or 28 on a finger.
Yeah, it was great. It was 28. The finger poking. I'm pretty sure I had the log on my old computer somewhere. It was sensational.
Fun times, good times.
It was great. And then after that was when the whole IWA, all that started happening. And then I held the TV title, the Intercontinental title, and the Hardcore title all at once.
Right.
So but it was those 2 GCW. Little D6 knockoff titles, the TV and Intercontinental title.
Oh yeah, that's when I started yeah, that was the 2D6 Fed that I was going.
Oh yeah, BAW, that was it.
BAW. Barbed Wire Academy Wrestling.
I had the TV and Intercontinental title on that one, and the RCWF Hardcore title at the same time. That was good times. Good times.
Indeed, yeah.
And then we all know where it went from there.
Yeah, I kind of went into another one of my spurts where I'm just like, you know, I think actually at that time I was like getting hardcore into getting gamer score on 360. So that
Yeah, you were playing games like crazy.
like
Trophy.
I would be
Oh,
running, I would be like running a chat event, and then I would have my Xbox turned on, getting gamer score while the event was going. That's how bad it was. And then finally,
they made fun of you
yeah, you did, yeah.
because you're playing Hannah Montana, aren't you? You are. I knew it.
I've had that game for a long time. It's been sitting on my rack, but I have yet to put it in. I have yet to put it. I mean, I've probably had that game for going close to probably eight 8 years now, 7 years, something like that. And I have yet,
Yeah,
maybe longer than that. But yeah, maybe one of these
I
streams.
knew you rented it at least to get the achievements on it. Like, really, Tad? You're playing Hannah Montana just for the achievements? I don't know what to call that, man. I don't know what to say. That's addiction, man. I'm
Addiction.
telling you, that's
Yeah,
addiction.
that's what I would call it. Total addiction. Yeah. So the
And then that's when
I kind of stepped away and let Nate kind of run things there for NGPW for a while, and then
and that's usually when things fall apart. First, you let Jake Michaels handle it, who I've forgotten completely about until you mentioned it.
yeah, he was the NRCW. I let him do that, and then he made some pretty bad decisions, and it resulted in a lot of things happening. And then that's when I came
He
back.
wasn't the guy who always had the ankle lock, was he?
No, Turlac Ankle Lock was DJ Turlac.
Turlac, that's it. DJ Turlac. Oh, good times.
Yeah, the TAL,
Yes, the towel.
the towel. Yeah, yeah. He was another interesting fellow. But yeah, the
Yeah,
end
and you
of
get
was that?
yeah. Then you gave control to Nate,
Uh-huh. And that wasn't
and
that didn't end in anything bad. It was just the gamer score was getting to me. I was getting
yeah,
fully achievement
I love
mode.
Nate. I love Nate, but we know how he is. He's like, you know what? This is actually a pain in the ass. Screw it. I'm done. He's
Right?
like, well,
Yeah.
I
No,
guess
that's
I'm done.
exactly. If Nate is not feeling like doing something, that's exactly you nailed it right on the head. He's just if he's not motivated or feeling like wanting to do something, he's just gonna call deuces. He's out.
Yeah, and I
So
don't. I was like I said, I love Nate, but yeah, he does that. But I don't blame him because honestly, if he's not in the mood to do it, and he tries to do it anyway, it does kind of suck ass. So because
right.
he's obviously not into it,
Yeah, and
so
that's
it's almost
understandable.
better for him to just say deuces than to do it without wanting to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Then that's we kind of let NGPW kind of die off there around the '07, 2007, and then I came back with the whole RCWF one last run, the chat era RCWF with that was like 2008. That's when Mark made his big comeback. Uh,
The reviver.
the revival, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was you and man, it was a small contingency of us in that last chat fed, wasn't it? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the time I won my very first world heavyweight championship.
Because I mean, it was like you, it was me, it was Nate, it was Guy Silencing, it was uh, Mr. Highlight,
Rich. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that was
It
pretty
was.
much like maybe five
What
more
was his
other
name? I know his name. You just gotta give me a second. Taylor
Chris Taylor,
or
yeah,
Trailer? Chris Taylor, yeah, because
yeah,
he's the one I beat for the title. It was a six. It was that 6-man fight. It was Tad, Nate, Rich, Mr. Highlight, Taylor, me, and Guy Silencing.
yeah, Chris Taylor, James LeBlanc, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There was
and he's the
maybe
one.
there was probably maybe 15 or 20 of us in that last. And then I remember that homicide that we did, that last one. That's when I'm like, we have 8 people in the viewers list for an RCW pay per view. You remember that? You remember when I'm like, look, guys.
Yeah, because I wasn't there, and there because it was always something with me. But
And you know,
it's not like I ever missed anything just because I didn't feel like it. I'd always end up having to go somewhere on a Friday or whatever.
yeah,
But because I know I'd lost the title, the pay-per-view before to Mr. Highlight, who came out to the ring using "I Kissed a Girl" by Katy Perry and wearing cherry chapstick. That's all I can remember. It was me versus you versus Rich, and then Rich was able to. You pinned me, and then Rich pinned you, or submitted you with whatever that move he has.
yeah, the gradient effect.
And that was, yeah, the gradient effect. That was it.
Yeah.
And then after that was the John Chaos Reviver thing, and that's when it started becoming just 8 people.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole timeline of bringing RCWF back and stuff, it just wasn't. It was great that we brought it back and had some fun and stuff, but you could tell that. Yeah, you could tell that people had moved on with their lives and just didn't have time or didn't even remember to or care to want to really do it anymore.
Yeah, because even if you did, it's like, do I really want to sit here for 7 hours typing on this computer screen?
Yeah, which is sad
No,
because I spent so many years doing that, and you know, it was hardest for me to say goodbye to doing it. But when I did a pay-per-view for RCWF and there's 8 people in the viewers list, then that's when I finally realized, you know,
it's not worth it anymore.
yeah, it's just not. It was fucking. I wouldn't take it back for anything. I had so much fun those 10 or whatever years.
That's why we still do it now, at random. But that's all we do it for. That one random big thing.
Yeah.
Because it would be fucking begrudging to do it every single week, every 2 days,
God.
whatever.
You know, being 30 years old in July coming up in 2015, I honestly can't. There would be no way that I would be able to do that like I was able to back when I was smaller.
Yeah, it's like 8 hours all the way to like 6 in the morning. Man, I could watch like 3 movies and I could be asleep.
Yeah, I could be asleep. Right? Yeah, so many other things.
Yeah.
But back then it was so much fun and it was worth it because there's so many people involved and it was just,
yeah, that made it funny,
Yeah.
It's worth it for some of the spots alone, like when I helped you pin what's his face. God, it wasn't Dan, it was someone else.
Didn't you use a forklift?
You pinned him with the forklift. Great.
I don't remember who that was.
Get on top of it.
Was it Big Bob? It wasn't Big Bob, was it?
No, it was Chris Vaughn. Yeah, it was Chris Vaughn.
Chris Vaughn. Oh God. Oh man.
Hit him with the forklift. Throw it. Stuff like that, man.
I was always good as being the heel authority guy that, do this for me and I'll later down the road I'll find something good for you if you help me. I was always good as that position, and I don't know why. It's just I guess it's because when I very first got into pro wrestling, Hollywood Hogan was like it for me. Like WCW Nitro, Hollywood Hogan surrounded by all his goons and just running down Sting, and then here comes Sting, and Hogan be the first one to sacrifice everybody to save his own skin. That's like what got me into wrestling, and got me hardcore into it. So I've always based my characters kind of off of that. Then of course the Resident Evil and the horror thing came into play later down, but yeah, this
very much so. And then shortly afterwards was the new golden age, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, the multimedia era. Were you one? Yeah. You were one of the very. Were you one of the very first crossovers to like?
I was the first main event with Richard Highlight.
That's right, you were. Yeah, I remember that now.
And I won the world title with the Forearm of Doom.
Yeah. Now was that?
I hit him with.
Are you sure that was on the JTV site, or was that on actual YouTube? because I was doing
That was on YouTube.
yeah, because I was doing a lot of straight to YouTube stuff there for a while.
Yeah, it was straight to YouTube, but literally, like I think, well, a week or two later is when you moved over to JTV. But
Yeah.
yeah, I hit Richard Highlight with the sharpshooter, and then he got out of it. But as soon as he stood up, I forearmed him and pinned him.
I remember that. Yeah.
It made him so mad, and he
Then
never won a world title ever again.
yeah, he really didn't do. I mean, he came back here and there when the live stream came in, but didn't really ever do much after that. But a lot of people were like, I lost control of my character, and I can't have that same, personality with my character anymore. And a lot of people
I don't
just
like. Yeah, I don't like the way you're doing my voice. That's not how I am.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of those people that were in the chat times, they just said, yeah, whatever, and that's it. And then that's the last we saw of them ever again. Until, the next time I decided to use their character and bring them back to life in the timeline. Stuff like that.
And then they see the storyline and they like it and go, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm in."
So now we're kind of into the live stream. Has there been anything since I started on, because first it was RCWF for a couple of years, now it's been QZW for 3 years. Has anything really struck out in your mind as what Trent Reign has done through the multimedia part? Because remember, you had the oh man, where to begin? You had the deal with Marcus Daniels. You had the deal. You had the Rumble match where I paid everybody to eliminate you.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
I still made it like the final 6, so that was good.
Yeah, and then there was the HPWF title thing where you were doing that, and then you
won both. It took an elimination chamber to take that away from me.
Yeah.
Damn Slasher. He won both of them. Asshole.
Was that a double title?
No, it was for the HPWF title. Crow took the the world title, the RCF World Championship from me the pay-per-view before that. In that hardcore match, because that's when the love and hate for the AI came in on that one, because it was wonderful, but then we swapped to the new game, and my character kept trying that signature forearm, even though he wasn't in the position. So he just kept spamming the forearm in the back of his head, spamming the SIG, trying to get the SIG to pop off to get the finisher. And nothing would happen, because I had SIG like 7 times, and Crow never had his, but he just kept hitting me with that fucking sledgehammer. And eventually he hit me in the gut with it, and that was it. So that's how they, just like the dice, that's how the AI rolls. It just decided that it doesn't matter how much you were whooping his ass. All he's got to do is dodge you until he can hit you with the sledgehammer 17 times.
So you've had success in the multimedia.
Oh, I had monumental success.
I mean, HPWF champion, world champion, and now that QZW has kind of taken over for the past 3 years now, you've even kind of been a mainstay here as well, but more so being like that guy that you pay him and he'll go perform his quote unquote services on a target for.
Yeah, the way I first started it back in NGPW, before we started rolling the NWO thing, the assassin came back.
So you haven't really.
It's more like an anti-hero now.
Yeah, yeah, because you were aligned with Rave and the corporation last season, and you were just you weren't really on their same page, but you weren't also like fighting against them, like, oh, this is wrong. You're screwing people over. You were just there because, there's your money.
Yeah, money. I need money. So I don't need it, but the children need the money.
Right, and that brings me to my next question. That I was honestly thinking about is the whole FZC IC thing. Where did that start, and how did that come about? Was that chat era when it first started, or was it part of the multimedia?
No, that was during the golden age. That's when the whole Trent Reign, I guess, took off. It's like, yeah, I had the championship for a while, but that's when that was basically the beginning of the year-long reign, the year of Trent Reign, I believe you called it. I think it was 2008 or 2009. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when that kicked off, because that was when it became Team RCWF versus the Dead Zone, and then the Dead Zone stuff like that. And there was also Night Inc. and stuff, all of that going on. But let's see. Memorable matches then was Michael Juscu. That was one hell of a match, where we're just counters and counters upon counters. And then there was, the WrestleMania. That was Tad Peter. That was probably one of my favorites, if not the favorite. Was the throwback, the Tad Peters, Nate Moore, Trent Reign triple threat main event.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. Oh, it was the NGBW, NWO all against each other in the main event.
I think that was the 10th one, when I took a bunch of main events from all the past ones and I redid them.
Exactly. Well, it also worked out because you'd both won the damn Royal Rumble the day before.
That's right. Yeah, we both co-won it.
Chat.
Yeah.
So you both co-won a little bit.
Yeah, we both co-won that one at the same time. Was that the same one when you and Jimmy, Eddie Cool, came out in elephants? Or was that a different one? See, you were before Far Cry 4. They took that idea from you two.
Oh, I see. I haven't even read that. So they come riding in on elephants?
Yeah, apparently you can ride elephants in Far Cry 4. So yeah, they took that idea from you and Eddie Cool.
We came in to Wars Lowrider, to that triple tier cage match. That was just a random RCWF one night stand or whatever. We came out to Wars Lowrider on top of elephants, wearing Santa hats and throwing candy and gifts to everyone.
No, okay, so that wasn't the Rumble. That was different.
No, that was that same Rumble where you paid everyone to whoop my ass.
Oh yeah, that was like so reminiscent of like McMahon and Austin. I loved it because I got to fit in that role.
Yeah, it was great too, because there'd be like 4 DQs on me at once and they'd all fail, and then they'd get eliminated by someone else.
I can't remember why. I think it was because you were the champion at the time, and
yeah, I was the champion going into the Rumble. So then you guys ended up winning it, and I ended up having a little celebration in the ring because I was happy you two had won it over everybody else. Because I think the other person in the ring was Vaude and like Rainer Crimson or something. I'm like, no, not one of them. I don't want to face them at the freaking main event. No. And then you guys won it. I'm like, yes, that's better.
And then who was it that won that triple threat match? Was it Nate, or did you retain?
No, I retained on that one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after that was the whole Dead Zone feud started, where everyone started getting corrupted over. But you two had fucking double suplex. You're the ones who eliminated me and split the money too. You double suplexed me out of the Rumble.
I forgot about that.
So not only did you win the Rumble, you won the damn money.
I totally forgot about that. Oh god. That sounds like something more Peters would do, though.
And it was. You bastards.
That's great.
Okay, it all worked out.
So
made the show.
You said that some of the amazing moments, probably the triple threat match for the belt between us three, and then you hitting Tribal with the lead pipe and her selling it the way she did. Is there any other moments? Oh, the MJ match?
The MJ match was just a phenomenal counterfest. And then, of course, the Marcus Daniels match later on. There were other good matches. There was some of I believe, the Elimination Chamber, and then some of the co-matches, the tag matches, and stuff like that. But the singles ones were probably some of the best. There's that one where I won a handicap match. That was nice.
Oh,
One on two, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. I have to ask you this because you are actually part of this history in another way, and you may not even remember this. But in a clip where the infamous character only known as Lil DJ 843 was created, because the kid kept coming into the chat and he's like, "Make my guy. Did you make my guy? Make my guy. I want to see you make my guy. Did you make my guy yet for RCWF? Is my guy made yet? Is my guy made?" Is like every 3
I do
minutes.
remember this. Yeah.
So I'm like, and this is on YouTube actually right now. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, I will make your guy right now. So I open the thing and here we go. I give him a pink afro. He's got white skin. He's got like a clown nose and like panties on. And I'm like, all right, motherfucker, here is your guy, little DJ 843. You piece of shit. All right, and you know what? Let's put you in a match. So I put him in a match, just fucking around. I put him against you. And I'm like, it was like something like, oh, you probably want to push too. You want to probably face the world champion too, don't you? Okay, here you go. And so, I put him against Trent Reign, and he just got squashed. And
of course, because he was only level like 30 against the level 100. So
right. And then I was like, all right, so you probably gonna complain and say that wasn't fair, right? Okay, well here's 3 of you. So I did like little DJ 843, little BJ 843, and some little douchebag 843 or something. And I made it a 3-on-1 match.
Yeah, you made him duplicate.
Yeah, that's.
It was like it was like Devil Parrot version 3. Devil Parrot.
Yeah, that's crazy. People still bring that up from time to time. That was like 2009, 2010. So,
yeah,
just nuts.
That was good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And the FCC came. It may have been Snowbrawl. Snowbrawl was always my event, even in the chat matches. I think Snowbrawl is where I have the highest win record. I lost once back in the GCW or NGPW days in a hardcore match, but that was also the same. No, it wasn't the same night. It was I had 2 matches that night, and I lost one of them. That was the hardcore title versus the hardcore title of some other Fed.
Oh yeah, you faced the HPWF hardcore champion.
Yeah, and he happened out on that one.
It wasn't.
But then I ended up.
Yeah, I remember that now. It wasn't a title for title match. It was just 2 champions, non-title from 2 different leagues against each other. I remember that now. Yeah.
He beat me, but then later on that night, I whooped up Cody Miller in the cage.
Yeah. That was like that was like 07. That was in GPW.
Yeah, that was the only Snowbrawl I believe I ever lost.
Yeah.
So that was good stuff, because the next Snowbrawl was the Marcus Daniels Snowbrawl.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good stuff. But the FCZ came about, I believe it was 3 pay-per-views before that Snowbrawl, or maybe 2, where it was just, every single match. It may have been Snowbrawl. I think it was before, but every single match was. It was basically it was the land of the stables. Whenever that era was in multimedia RCWF, where it was these group of people versus either the Cash Connection, the Dead Zone, the Corporation, all of them. And so it's like all it was FCC was what I kept chanting for the children, because everyone had I was like, we'll show you that good beats evil and all this stuff, because everyone was going against a stable, so it was always a good guy versus a bad guy basically, and the children won out but 3 matches of that entire pay-per-view because the good guys won. There was one match where it's like maybe Cast Connection versus Cast Connection. So it's like they automatically win here. But that's where the FCC came from. And later on, I beat whoever. Oh, that was the Mike Jusku pay-per-view. That was it.
Was that when
And
he
then I
was
beat
all? Was that when he was dead zonified?
Yeah, that was when he was dead zonified.
Okay.
So I beat him too for the final score to be like the children 28 versus like 3 for the bad guys.
Yeah.
The dead zone titles because they always won tag titles.
Right.
And then one member of the corporation beat somebody, but
that was the big.
I just know everyone else won.
That was the big. That was the first one when it was Painkiller was the corporation in Thaddeus, and then on Demolition it was the Dead Zone with Sadler and all of them, and they were trying to.
Yeah, correct.
They were trying to double head and take out the promotion on both brands at the same time, and then they entered, and then well before that they were fighting each other. And then it came to find out that it's, it was kind of like the corporate ministry where they joined forces, and then they, tried to take out QZW, but you guys ended up beating them.
Yeah, that was when the war started. And then it ended up ending, I believe, at Snow Brawl later on. Because they won the second pay-per-view was the huge gauntlet match. If you remember that.
Yeah, it was like 10 on 10.
Where this person started this person, and then whoever lost fought this person, and it came down to me versus the Dead Zone basically, and I ended up getting beat by the Zombie at the last second.
Yeah.
But then after that, that led to the Ghost shortest Hell in a Cell or shortest cage match ever against the Ghost.
I remember that.
World record time, minute and 7 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, that was just
short stage ever.
Just climbed right out as soon as the bell rang, pretty much. That was it.
Yep. FCC. So that became the rally cry for the anti Dead Zone Corporation movement.
There you go.
And then it pretty much ended when I beat Marcus Daniels at Snow Brawl. It was the final nail in the coffin, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And then
that was good. That was the time.
And then that's when the slasher came into the picture.
And that's when the bad times began.
And that's when the year of the clown started, and the slasher came in. And so many people these days, still to this day, bring up like, oh, I joined RCWF when the slasher was on top. So now even those people listening right now that might have came in, just a handful of years ago, can now relate to how this timeline is panning out.
Yeah, I call it the karmatic revenge of Cody Miller.
Yeah, because
that was his persona, right? It was Cody Miller transformed into the slasher.
Well, no, Miller was the handler. It was Jason Brody, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's the karmatic revenge of Jason Brody. That's what it was.
Yeah, because all Jason Brody was just, he was a good role player, but he was just
he jobbed.
Right.
That's what he did.
He was just kind of like the Zack Ryder, basically, of RCWF. That's all really.
Yeah, and then he became the slasher, and he's the goddamn monster.
Yeah, Gravicity 619. That's I can't believe I remember his screen name, but that's all he ever was. And then when the multimedia era kicked, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this guy Jason Brody. I'm gonna make something out of him, and then bam, the slasher.
Yeah. And then that's when Norns and everyone all the big guys started coming out the woodwork.
Yeah, you had the Norns, you had Mr. Troop, you had
Crusher.
The Crusher, you had Showtime Brooks, you had the Franchise, Kid Murda.
That was good time. Kid Murda. I did like Murda and Troop.
That was era one of the first era of multimedia there.
Yeah. That was good times then too. Even when I lost the title, that's when the Trent Troop started, and it was Trent Reign and Roz, Trent Reign and Guy Sodenstein, just wandering around causing mischief.
Yep.
And then Tad would always fire my partner somehow, or get him destroyed. Say, you bastard! I still haven't won the tag titles, asshole.
You still have never won the tag titles.
No, I still never won the tag titles.
Well, son of a bitch.
No matter how hard I try.
Far
I've
beyond
claimed
better.
every other damn time. But
Far
not
beyond
the
better. He's
tag
coming for you.
title.
We just need to find a partner.
Yep. Someone can pay me to be the partner.
Ah, not a bad idea.
Oh, that's right. Josh D joined the night I lost about the crow.
That was a lot of people that have stuck around for years now came within that like 5 months period. I've noticed a lot of people that
Yeah.
are like hardcore, like not just the e-fed, but more so just, oh, Tad's streaming, Tad's doing something, and they just thoroughly enjoy being around and being part of the community. Came within that like 5 6 month period, I've noticed, and stuck around. And so that's really cool.
Yeah.
That should give
And
you
not only was
that should not only
keep
give
going.
me a compliment, but that should also give you and everyone else that was kind of being used at the time a huge compliment, that it gave such a good impression that they would stick around the way they did in
yeah.
the E-Fed.
I'm sure they can verify it themselves in the chat room, but it was not just the chat was so great, but you and sometimes whoever you had with you on commentary were just on the ball with some of the hilarity, because you were like basically being like, Thaddeus is like, damn it, I'm tired of you being champ, lose this goddamn belt, and then you'd try something and it failed, and be like, no, this is bullshit. Like what was the night that Domino or someone finally ended up winning it afterwards? There was one match where you literally restarted it 2 or 3 times. You said like you just shook your head no and hit restart, and I won it anyway. And he was against the ghost, and you did no and did restart, and I won it anyway. And then afterwards, Domino finally cashed in his money in the bank. But that was way later. But there was just good stuff like that. Just you just going off on mic or pretending to be the characters. Like you be the dude for 1 second, and then also it's like the switch habits. Like, no, no, what are you doing? No, you're not supposed to lose like this. No, and then someone would go through the table. It's like, God damn it, no, because it was just like you were just trying to beat up everyone. I guess I appreciated that.
I think that's like part of the reason that a lot of people still continue to watch. It's crazy to believe that it started off in the chat system and a chat style where that was basically non-existent. I mean, yeah, I typed as the dude and I commented here and there, but it wasn't like my live action commentary at all in that. And now it's like a second life. Not to bring any terrible puns into that, but I'm just saying it's kind of breathed a second air into what was started and gave it a new life form, really, and it has existed for, God, since 2009, 2008, 2009 now, and it's still, I mean, membership is up. We're getting, anywhere between 50 all the way up to 70 hits during the shows. I mean, on a relatively new site like Hitbox.tv. I mean, it's still going great, and people seem to love the product and enjoy the entertainment that comes out of it. So
yeah,
the
really botches helped too.
Yeah,
all the dumb guy, and then the jokes that would happen when stuff would happen. It was great. I won't lie, it was great. Hello, bitch.
yes. Turn around.
That was during that moment too.
Who did you say that to? Who was that?
Justin Rom.
Justin Rom.
Yeah, he just finished doing that little screw job thing. He went one way. He's like, "Oh, hi, fellas. I'm just gonna go this way." I think it was either Silent Scene or hell, it might have been Troop. But he turned around and I was standing there. It's like, "Hello, bitch."
I think that's also on the YouTube as well. That was good. All right,
great stuff.
We got some questions that people have submitted via our forums, and the first set of questions that came in for you were actually from Gil himself. So I'm gonna let Gil ask you his questions. here first.
So why did you kill Aerith?
That wasn't me. That was Genova in using my body as a she transformed into that body. It's a lookalike. It wasn't actually me.
Okay, how do you spell Aerith? Do you end it in TH or S?
It's actually Aerith, but a lot of people will probably swear by the mispronunciation of Eris with the S on it, only because that's what it was released like in North America.
I think Kingdom Hearts ruined it. They had both or something. And how did it feel to compete in RCW this month or last month?
I was about to say I was going to start rambling about the very first one just for giggles, but it was good fun. Like I said, I didn't really know that it was canon. You know, everything was supposed to be legit, so I kind of just went out of character there and was, just messing around the whole time. But that's what made it fun as well. So I enjoyed myself, which was good. It harkened back to the old days, like when Dan tried to throw. Now I feel bad because I don't remember who he was facing. I have a bad memory sometimes. Babu threw someone over the top rope, and I grabbed him and threw him back over the top rope into the table. It's just good spots like that are what makes it worthwhile, just the comedy value.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Our next questions come from Grim, and he asks, am I late to ask you questions?
Yes, but I'll allow it.
Said, if not, are you from or born in Trenton, New Jersey?
Hell no.
Not even close.
Not even close to it. Good
What,
Lord. Might as well ask me if I was born next to the River Trent in England.
But I saw what he did there.
Yeah, I know what he did there. It was terrible, but he did it. I'm more offended about the New Jersey part than the Trenton part.
What is your favorite food?
Oh, man.
And don't say French fries or potato wedges that you ordered when I was there.
Motherfucker, you will not diss the cheese fries. I still order those at Longhorns almost every time I go.
So like we're over there where he lives and we're doing a meet, right? And like we all go out to eat after the meet's over and we're about to head back home, but we're going to eat first, and I invite him over to just chill out and stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, we got you covered. Don't worry about it. I got you." And he's like, "Oh, really? No, you don't have to do it." I'm like, "Yeah, no, don't worry about it." So I order like, what was it, like a burger, a huge burger and fries or something, and
or steak, I can't remember.
yeah, it could have been a steak, I don't know. But waitress comes around, asks him, he's like, "Okay, sir, do you know what you want?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll just take cheese fries." I'm like, "Dude, this is like lunch and dinner combined that we're eating here. All you're gonna eat is cheese fries."
Yeah, they're gigantic, man. You can't finish the whole damn plate. I know I can't. They're delicious.
Is that place
But
still going?
Oh yeah, Longhorns is always going. But
Okay.
that's it. That's what I still order almost every time. I alternate between that and the Wild West shrimp. But I mean, I love the steak and all. It's just pricey. But there's a part of me that doesn't like, I guess, getting free stuff. And it was awesome that your dad was doing that. So
Motherfucker,
I was like, that's cool. But I'm not gonna hit it. I'm not going to punch him in the wallet, I'm going to order the cheese fries.
Motherfucker, it was basically like Thaddeus was paying for your meal. And you just ordered cheese fries.
That's just how I am. I can't do it.
So
I've got a $50 gift card there right now, and I'm like, should I get 2 or 3 steaks, or should I get 10 orders of cheese fries? Because I can get 10 orders of cheese fries with this gift card.
So are you basically insinuating that Thaddeus is cheap? That you knew that Thaddeus was going to pay for your meal, but all you ordered was cheese fries because that's all that he would be able to afford?
It's more like that I didn't want to insult Thaddeus. Oh yeah, this is free. Order whatever you want. All right, I'll have the $32 steak, please. And a baked potato, and a salad with all the stuff. Add chicken to the salad too. That'd be great. No, I know, and people still don't believe me, but my favorite thing there is the damn cheese fries. They're the only ones who do it right.
Surprise, bitch! It was a trick question. You insulted Thaddeus one way or the other. I'm just kidding. No, it was fun to go
You
out there
can't.
and meet you and stuff. And then you got to put me in a headlock.
Yes, that was good.
Good times.
But for favorite food wise, that is the worst, one of the worst questions to ask me because I don't really have I like variety, so I don't really have favorites and anything. Of course, I love pizza. I love Chinese. I love Mexican. Like if you said, "Oh, if you were stranded on an island and could only eat one food," I'd be like, I might as well just go jump in the ocean. I just
Damn.
I couldn't eat one food just forever. I just go bonkers.
If you
But
didn't answer pizza, because Grem is Grem, if you didn't answer
yeah,
pizza and like pizza, what type of toppings do you enjoy on pizza?
well, I like the standard. You got your pepperoni and sausage, but then I like tomatoes, mushrooms, and it depends on where you go. You can get some good, buffalo chicken on top sometimes. Spinach, I like spinach as well. I like red chili peppers. I like on top of pizza. It's a little different. Um, I don't like olives. That's pretty much the only one I don't like. So if you ever want to make me angry or you don't like me and you order me a pizza, just put olives on it and enjoy. Because I'm not just watch me look at it in disgust. Because I'm probably going to try to eat it because you got it for me, but out of politeness. But at the same time, I'm going to cringe pretty much the entire time.
Okay. He asked, "Did you know you were part of the Zombspine College football team?"
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not even know there was a Spawn college football team. I
Yeah.
know there's a Spawn college, and I don't know where you can enroll. But
That's actually a weekly thing I'm doing now here on Hitbox TV. If you're on the channel, you can scroll down to the calendar, and it shows the little college logos. That's our teams we're facing. Last week we had game 1 against TCU on Thursday, and we barely won. But yeah, you're on the team. I think you're left end or something like that, because you're big.
that's good. I'm defensive, which is good.
Yeah, you're a big
That's
guy. I knew you were a big guy, so I had to stick you in there in the big guy slot.
Yeah.
Because
Left
seriously,
end
you're
usually
you're
puts some
built like a
pressure.
college, like a you and Raji. Like I don't know if you know who Raji is, but you and Raji are like, wow.
Yeah, all I remember about him is Arkansas, and that's not really a good thing, but that's all I
He's
remember.
him and you are about the same size. Like I'm like shocked why you guys aren't playing college ball.
Most of us big guys get put on the O line, the offensive line, and it just sucks. It's like the worst spot to be.
So you get
Now,
paid
yes,
millions of dollars just to
you
stand
get
up
paid
and
for it, yes, because it's pretty much the most important spot on the team. Yeah, but it's just I don't. It's just so boring. I couldn't stand it. I played football, but I left and went to the band because it was just so boring. I couldn't stand it.
all
It
right.
bored me to tears. Block the guy in front of you. If someone else is trying to come that way, block him too.
All right.
That's
He
all you do.
asks if you did or didn't. Do you enjoy your spot, your position as left end on Zomspun's football team?
Yeah, because that usually puts the most pressure on the quarterback. Is the left and right ends. Now you got your D backs will come up the middle and whatnot, but they're mainly there to either rush them or go for the receiver. But if a good left end is pushing through the O line each and every time, you pretty much force the quarterback into some pretty bad situations. I
Okay.
believe Kong Su was a left end. I don't know if he is now. He might be a center.
Wait, did you
I
just
don't
say?
pay attention.
Did you just say Sue?
Su.
Did you really have to bring Sue up to me?
I don't pay attention, so I don't know what you're talking
Okay.
about. So
All
I don't
right.
know
Well,
what is.
Late warning, Tad does not like Sue.
he tried to snap Aaron Rodgers' ankle like 3 weeks ago after the play
Oh,
was
that's
over.
Is he
pretty
gone
bad.
from the Lions yet?
And Gil lives in Michigan, so
My condolences, Gil.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out as soon as possible.
all right. He says he asks if you could do anything over again in RCWF, what would it be and why?
That's a hard question. RCWF itself, as in the Fed, or I wonder if he means Tad Inc. just in general. He probably means Tad Inc.
Probably everything. Or no,
Uh,
because he mentions QZW in the next question, so probably just RCWF.
Probably just.
Yeah.
Oh well, hell, I don't know if I'd do anything different in RCWF. I mean, that was the year that I was basically did it all anyway. So there's not much to go back and redo. It's like, would I want to go back and redo the Crow match and not have that forearm just to keep the streak going? Maybe, but at the same time, the streak needed to end. I couldn't sit there and be champion forever. I'm not Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan. It gets boring after a while.
Right.
I didn't have the persona to get up in people's face. I'm a badass. And face Trent Reign is pretty hilarious. That the one I had the most success with is the face, since I was a heel for most of the chat era, and it's the face that takes off and just runs away with it. But I don't really think I'd go back to the Royal Rumble when I sat there in Tad Inc. I'd go back to a one where I sat there for like 9 hours, kept tabs on everything, and then I was the final entrant because I'd won that poll. And as soon as I step into the ring, Mark, as Devil Perot, rolls a 30 DQ and kicks me out.
I remember that.
I would go back in time. I would just not enter if I could do that one. I'd just not, or I'd stand around the ring for like an hour and a half.
That's kind of funny.
Enter the ring.
It's kind of funny because he was kind of basically doing the same thing to you that happened to him in his first or his second RCWF Rumble match many years before that. Is he like got called in and it was like halfway through or like 3/4 of the way in, and then some dude that I had recruited from the Connects chat just as a filler guy. His character was Buzzkill. Like John Chaos slides into the ring, okay, he's here, and then Buzzkill like clotheslines him out, and he's done.
And it just pisses me.
And so he
like
basically
the one thing
did.
I'd probably.
Yeah, so he
bitter burn.
He basically did the same thing to you that happened to him like 4 years before, 5 years before.
You figured he would know better than to do that to somebody because it's like the worst. You sat there that whole time.
Well, we got our.
If I got 2 or 3 moves in, that's great, but I didn't get to do anything at all after waiting.
I think that was the same Rumble where Rave hugged me out of the ring.
Yes, it was.
Oh my god, I was so pissed. But then I looked at you and I'm like, all right, maybe mine wasn't that
so
bad. Yeah.
I don't remember who won that Rumble either because I just block it all out of anger.
Yeah. All right.
Probably Nate.
Let's...
If you can't remember who won a Rumble, just throw Nate in there. He's just, he won it. It's okay.
Well, that would have been NGPW 06. So that would have been Cody Miller, actually.
Oh, it was. Yeah, of course it was Cody because that's why I fought him in that cage at Snow Brawl.
Yep. It took me a second to remember it in my library of brain files, but then I remembered it was Cody Miller.
Yeah, because I took the bullshit elimination and ran with it. And just said, I basically pulled a Randy Orton and said, give me a fucking shot at the #1 contender so I can be a #1 contender too.
That's right, yeah, and then you inserted yourself.
Yep. And then I won the Hardcore Rumble, and then that was also the same night as the main event for the title. I lost the world main event, but I retained the Hardcore title, so that was pretty good.
All right.
That was the moment in NGPW where I was basically pulling 2 matches a night because you wanted me to be a main eventer and still be a Hardcore champion.
Because what Thaddeus wants, Thaddeus gets.
You wanted me to lose the Hardcore title, but I wouldn't do it. I couldn't lose it for some damn reason.
Okay, he asked, why haven't we seen Trent join QZW instead of being a part-timer for RCWF?
For the same reason you don't really see me in the chats as often or, in there. I don't really have the capability to be a I mean, Tad easily could put my character in if he wanted, but I mean, I can't be there all the time to represent myself in the hitbox or the Justin TV chats wherever they could be taking place at that time. I only have one, like every week I'm off one Tuesday, but then the next week I'm not off on that Tuesday. And so two Tuesdays a month are guaranteed just non-existent. I'm not going to be there. And so there's two that I'm off, but I can't guarantee I can be there on those two either because I'm usually catching up on something from that I has to be done from the other day. Like today, I barely made the podcast because I was battling the rain trying to get my car clean to sell it maybe tomorrow. So it's just life interferes, and that's the reason you don't see me really jumping in or trying to push for anything because I don't have the time. When I come around, sure, eventually, maybe once a month or less, but there's no real reason to throw me in full time or anything like that when I can't be here to. I'd rather have someone who's here all the time in the chat room. They're here to enjoy it. They should get a push. They should go in and get their, character in a match, not just have old Trent Reign. Yes, he's a legend, but old Trent Reign's not here all the time, so why bother?
Okay, fair enough. If you could take one person from QZW and add them to the RCW chat rosters back in the day, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good list because it's like, do I want someone I'd enjoy, or do I want someone that I just love to just kick all over the place
Or watch
inside the chat?
Or watch get into arguments with other troublemakers from back in the day.
Yeah. Well, there was plenty of those, man. I don't know if I'd replace a couple of those with people from QZW in the deal.
Yeah.
Trey. It's like, all right, what's your name? Preston? Yeah, you're out again. I don't like you. You can go away, Preston. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about the Daniel Bryan guy.
Yeah.
Space Kabuto, yeah.
Yes, Preston. And, I'm sure he's calmed down a lot, but Japan bro. Oh, this is always better. Japan does it better. What was his name?
Corey O'Brien before there was a Tommy Spud.
Yeah, Corey O'Brien. Say what?
Said before there was a Tommy Spud, there was a
Tommy Spud. Yes, there was a Corey O'Brien.
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
So those two were just so annoying. Just so annoying. So I'd swap them out. Maybe I'd put Tommy Spud in there just to see him argue with them about the Japanese
I would love
stuff.
to see Tommy in the old days with Corey O'Brien. I'm not sure if they would love each other in a gallant effort of Japanese eroticness, or if they would Pearl Harbor each other. I'm not sure.
One or the other.
One or the other.
I guess, when you got other people here helping out, I guess I'd probably like them to come back in. Because, who knows? It was doomed to fall, the chat era. But who knows? It could have had a bit of a burn, at least a brighter burnout, if you added in some people like maybe Josh D or Gil. People who are active often.
Yeah.
And
it would have carried it out a lot longer if we had fresh people coming in, but it just dried up. The pool dried up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think AOL just dried up in general.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Google and everything else, Yahoo and.
Yeah.
No, AOL wasn't the big boy on block anymore, so.
Yeah. What's AIM? I got Kick and this and all this. I don't know what the hell AIM is. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
All right. He asks, can you...
And Troop. I'm sorry. I changed all my answers. I'd so totally bring Troop to the RCWF. If I had to pick one, I would have greatly enjoyed the enthusiasm of Mr. Troop.
Yeah,
or Kid Murda.
Yeah, Troop's something else. He's been with me a while. He says, can you please name your favorite wrestler you were in the ring with during RCWF? So I guess your favorite opponent.
Oh. I had some good hardcore matches. I don't.
This is the chat,
I
Eric.
don't know how to. I mean, it's obviously going to be you and Nate. I mean, that's pretty much the most synergy. So it was fun as hell to you and play off. I had a good hardcore match with God, I can't remember his name now.
Was it Rogan?
He'd sometimes play Edge.
Oh. Edge.
It could have been, or it could have been you as one of your other characters. I can't remember, but we basically just roamed around the. That's when my whole smack people with random objects started happening. Except the pipe, we wander in the crowd, and I just grab a fan's drink and smashed it in his face. I was glad to see that happen in one of the games too, where they added in the cup. That was great.
Yeah, the cup of tea virus.
Basically, it was like the Rock and Mankind's I Quit match, where they just wandered around and Rock just picked up shit and smacked him with it, talked on the phone, hit him with the phone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was. I think it may have been Cody. It was just good fun times. But
it could have been because I was never an Edge role player, so.
I said it could have been one of your characters too. I can't remember. But
oh yeah, it could have been like a Raven or.
Yeah, it was good fun time. And there's just fighting you and Nate, which is always fun. So
yeah. Indeed. All right. Do you feel that the dungeon was a good idea or not for RCWF?
You skipped over the least favorite wrestlers that I was in the ring with.
Oh yeah. Okay. What's your least favorite wrestler?
Rainer Crimson.
Okay.
No offense to Rainer Crimson, but I fought him like 988 times, and oh my God, it's true.
So wait a minute. You would actually have a match with the Eliminator before you would with Rainer Crimson?
Oh, that's I was never in the ring with the Eliminator besides that tag match. But,
really? That's surprising.
Yeah. So I never actually fought him one, so I probably would pick Rainer Crimson over the Eliminator, but I fought Rainer Crimson like every other week because he was one of the only people going after the hardcore title. Him and Black Dragon, but Black Dragon was all right. So
yeah.
Rainer Crimson just eventually got on my nerves.
Well, the thing with the Eliminator is he would call out he would be in an IM with you and call out all the spots, and even if you didn't really want to do the spot and you kind of felt like, oh, maybe I should get some offense in at this point, he would still go with his own spots. And
he'll sell the reggae.
Yeah, he would be like, okay, you sell this, then you sell this, then you sell this, then you sell this, then I'll let you, punch me in the face, and then you're gonna sell the next 10, and it's like,
no,
what?
Yeah, exactly. No.
All right, now we'll go to the dungeon question. Good idea or not?
Which in the multimedia era or in the GCW era?
He says in RCWF, so I'm assuming he means the one that you were a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I came from the dungeon, so I'm going to have to say good idea. I mean, I didn't come from the RCWF dungeon, but I came from the dungeon. I'm sure some people here came from the dungeon first, so it's not like it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it did weed out the non-so-serious... Because back then we had, 4 shows going on top of the dungeon?
Yeah.
At once? Because that's how many applicants we had going?
Yep.
So, no, the dungeon was great because it weeded out all those who just tried to get in just for giggles and to see their character go, and then it left only the ones who were actually dedicated to actually moving up into the spots.
And that's how you
Which then, of course, ended up turning into more people anyway. But
yeah, and that's how you could also classify the dungeon that we had on Fire Pro for so many years on JTV.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was the one he was talking about.
No, he's talking about the. At least I think that's the one he was talking about. Was the one that you and Jimmy started in back in like 04 and 05. The original.
Oh yeah.
Concept.
Yeah, they were both good. That one was definitely good because it taught people how to do the matches and how to sell or whatnot before they jumped in.
Yeah.
Instead of just jumping in looking like a fool. I mean, it didn't work on everyone, obviously.
But I really did like the one that took place on Fire Pro. It was huge, and yeah, like you said, there was 4 shows a week and everything, and it really helped bring in a lot of people that are still here today. He
Indeed.
asks, what year in your career can you say was Trent Reign's year?
I think we mentioned this earlier. I can never remember it because I'm awful with memory. It was 2008 or 9. It was the FCC era.
Yeah.
FCC. That was obviously
HPWF and RCWF champion, dual champion.
Yep.
Before
And
this.
that was the year. And beating him then was the year. Was when I had it for exactly 1 year. So pretty much have to call that one the year of Trent Reign.
Yep. It was the year of Trent Reign, and then after that was the era of the Clown, and then after that was when Alexander Knight won it, and then Justin Rom won it. After short.
And then Ray had it for a little second, for the shortest amount of seconds. But.
Yeah. Let's see. Will we see Trent Reign in the following pay-per-views? Will we see him at Doomsday at the end of this month, 4 weeks from Tuesday?
Yes, you're going to see him at all those pay-per-views just to put pressure on Tad.
Oh, all of them. So Doomsday and actually 3 weeks from now, Ground Zero, which is the Rumble match in February 15, Darkness Falls, which is the last stop to our biggest event in March, and then April, Night of the Dead, which would be Night of the Dead. Is it 3? It's 3 now.
Yep, you heard it here. So make sure Tad has my character in those matches. No, the true question is maybe. You know, I can't guarantee I have those days off, etc., etc. And again, if I say yes and go in there, Tad might just put me against 3 clowns again in a handicap match just to have me in the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
See, Trent Reign was there. He was in the pay-per-view like he said he would be.
It might be the return of Lil DJ and Lil BJ and Lil whatever.
Yeah.
The little clowns.
Yeah, do your thing.
All right, his last question is, what does Trent Reigns do? Did he call you Trent Reigns in all of these questions?
I think you meant that apostrophe there.
Okay. What does Trent Reigns do in his off time away from the ring?
I'm definitely going to try to make the Rumble, by the way. I'll just throw that one in there. You know I always like a good Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
But my off time, mine or the character, we'll go with the character first.
Yeah.
You know, the character runs, you know, all the these detective agencies and the children's hospitals and whatnot. And there's some kind of the lawyer stuff, but that's why he needs money, because all those businesses cost money. So he's gone sort of anti-hero with it, because, you know, the kids are like, why are you doing this? You know, you need that little kidney, Johnny. I don't want it if you're going to be such a jerk. Well, too bad. Take your kidney and like it, bitch.
So you're like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, except a little more...
but without them having a choice.
Okay.
You take your kidney, you like it, Timmy. I worked hard for that kidney. But it's all gotten to him. But as for me, it's pretty much just I've been going out a lot. I've traveled to England often now because that's where my girlfriend lives. And she was here for a while, but then her work visa expired. And so she had to go back, and we haven't worked that out yet. So I do that. And most of the time, if I'm not busy catching up on whatever that I had to catch up because I was too busy working my 12-hour shift, it's basically The Last of Us and Netflix, watching Top Gear. That's about all I do now.
Okay.
The Last of Us has consumed my body and soul. So.
Which I still have to beat on stream, by the way.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. I'm sorry you got the shitty disc copy.
I got
I don't know what happened.
the shitty disc of the Ancients or something. I don't know what the hell happened.
I don't know what happened with that one. Try download. I don't know.
I'm
it's
gonna
the online. being ran.
I'm gonna end up just going to fucking GameStop like tomorrow and getting pissed off and just buying it. Just sick of it. I just want to beat the damn game and say, okay, yeah, I beat it. Ah. All
I'll
right.
type something in Skype and not so it's not on recorded. Everyone can see it, but yeah, you can do that and get your money back.
Oh, I know. Leave it to Hill.
As long as you know.
Leave it to Hill.
Yeah, it's a
Trent
heel
Reign
trick.
Yeah.
It's
I know where you're
Heel
going.
trick.
You're talking to Thaddeus. All right. Next questions come from Liam, aka Leo Jokerheart, aka Leo Reigns. He says, "Why did you beat me twice in one night? I mean, come on, you're old. Why couldn't you just let me win?"
I've forgotten all about that. Oh, that was my last night in that RCWF era too. That's right, because I retired after that with all the Kaylee drama and all that. Oh, that was good. I'm sorry. I had to go out with a bang. I wanted you to win, somewhat, because I didn't want it to be Rave, because I just beat Rave before that. Thankfully, I didn't want my last match to not go back for the world title to be against Rave. But not anything bad against Rave, but come on. Anyway, so I was giving you the chance, but I mean, it's just how it works out sometimes, man. I had to do it, and I saw the look in Domino's eyes. And after I beat you twice, I just stared at him and looked at him in the chat and was like, do it, do it, do it. And he finally did it, and it worked out. And then you got the Domino you have today. He wasn't just a chump champ either, because at that time we had people having the title for a month and then losing it at the very next pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
The past 6 that did that.
There was quite a few transitions there during that time, and then Domino came in, and then he had that deal with Eddie Cool, and then that was
that made me happy. That was a good send off there.
Yeah.
But it was Rom. I forget how Rom got it finally, which we all rejoiced over. And then I did the Be a Champ thing with DJ Kraft, and Kraft won it. And then Troop goes and beats the crap out of Kraft, and then I go beat the crap out of Troop. And then I beat Rave, thankfully, not making it a 1-month championship. And then Liam gets his shot. I beat him twice in a row, and then Domino beats me on the 3rd match of that night. And I was like, you know what? That's a good way to go. You have 3 matches in one night, and you lose on the last one. That's a damn good way to go.
I really enjoyed that last 2 years lineup of champions that held the belt, though. While a lot of them might have been like shorter reigns, I really did like the lineup and the cast of characters that had that belt there towards the end. That was a really good sequence.
Yeah, especially Rom and Rave. People had never actually touched it before, finally getting it. That was kind of bittersweet. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Okay, our last question. And then Eddie Cool. Yep. Our last questions come from Spence, and he's actually in here with us tonight, so I will go ahead and let him ask his 3 questions.
All right. Well, these questions are actually for both of you, Trent and Tad, but we can start with Trent, and then Tad can give his answer. So my first question is, comparing today's eFed wrestling with the old RCWF chat days, what would you say is the biggest advantage that chat wrestling has over a video game?
I think we hit on this earlier too, but I can expound upon it more. It's the spots, the imagination of you and your opponent in the match. You're painting the picture. You're writing the storybook. So that's just the AI. It's more fair for the AI. I'll be honest, because dice rolls aren't that great, but they set up some quick matches and they can do some good spots. But you and your opponent, if you're working on it greatly and you're painting the picture, you can just have some of the most hilarious spots just ever, like Tad pinning Chris Vaughn under a tow truck, a forklift. What are those things called? Pallet, a forklift pallet. Just
he did that before.
Me just like grabbing one person and throwing them into the other person, and using him as a springboard to jump off and land on the third person on top of like 14 tables off the top of a cage. Shit like that. Just Nate Moore suplexing Tad Peters off the top of a 3-tier cage into a truck bed full of neon light glass that just splatters and sparks everywhere. I mean,
that shit was fucking awesome.
Yeah, just the hardcore stuff that you could do was just great. Me wandering around the back, walking to the concessions table and picking up a croissant and just smacking someone in the head with it, and they get a 30. Just good shit like that.
I would have to concur with that. The chat ways just opens up all types of possibilities that you just have freedom outside of freedom when it comes to that. Whereas in the game, you're just restricted to the 50 scenes that the game gives you if you're going to do CAS, and then of course what happens when the match actually starts, which is great. It's good. It's a good system. It's a solid system, but it doesn't give you the amount of
overall.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the amount of creativity and freedom that you have when you do a chat match. And he's exactly right on that. I can recall so many times where I brought a aquarium full of piranhas down to the ring as poison or Tempest or someone and stuck someone's face in it and let the piranhas eat their face or whatever. Anything I wanted to do,
Yeah, I mean, you guys fought out just here recently at Snowbrawl. You and Nate, fighting around. Nate picks up and answers a phone in the middle of the match.
Right.
And it's me on the phone. Hey, what's up? And then right there at the end, I freaking, was it Grim that I was facing? Or was it Green Void? It was Green Void, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Green Void uppercuts me, and I just said, screw it. I go flying through the screen, the Tadtron screen. And and so while I'm in the screen, I made it pretend like I'm in the screen, shocked or whatever. He climbs up in there and throws me out of the screen out onto the electric board outside into all the circuitry. And as I crash through it, I slide into the barricade. I'm all bloody and messed up. And he's, looking like a monster. I open my hand and drop out a bunch of screws. And those screws are the support screws for the Tadtron. And so the whole thing collapses, burying Green Void under all the rubble. You can't do that in the 2K14 game.
Right. And then meanwhile, you got Thaddeus and Nathan Moore going into Goddess Dawn's locker room, taking her towel off her naked body, and Thaddeus choking Nate with it, or going into
try not to downgrade the podcast too much.
Trying to go into Babu's locker room and getting high off the contact weed in the air and contact
Snowman's locker room.
Yeah, just so many different things that you can do, and and we all were able to do back in those days as compared to the system we have now. But I would definitely in terms of time restraints and everything else, I would definitely.
Yeah, that was the major upside, is also the major downside. All that freedom gives you so much to do, but it also takes you 9 or so hours to do it.
Yeah. I'm perfectly content with the way things are now, but I don't mind throwing in a chat event here and there.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of that, my second question: chat matches do seem to be coming back a bit, albeit obviously not as frequent as the old days. But with that being said, what would you both be most excited to see in future chat events?
There's not much you can really expound upon more that hasn't already been pushed at. I mean, that we've done some. I can't even think of everything. It's like rule 34 of the. Is it 34 of the internet, or 32? Something like if you mention it, there's already
34 is the one about there being porn of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that, but without the porn. It's like, hey, has anyone been hit over the head with this? Yeah, we've done that probably twice. Has anyone been tossed off of this? Yes, probably 3 times. But at the same time, I'd gladly see more of it. I'd love it's always the hardcore crazy matches that are the most fun. The mall brawls especially are my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. That's where you're just all fighting in a gigantic shopping mall, and you just fight around Lane Bryant or whatever stores. There's an outdoor store over there. I'm gonna grab this ore and smack you upside the head with it, and then maybe go get on a canoe and jump in it down an escalator and run someone over with it. I mean, it's just shit like that. I'd do it all day long, just all day long. And sadly, it takes all day long. So
I would. I don't know. Most excited to see in future chat matches. I'm just gonna use a blanket answer here and say that I mean, whereas I don't want to see it come back every week, and I tried to fit it into my schedule this month, but I just couldn't. I tried to make the emphasis of January 2015 being about co-op gaming and playing with viewers and having multiplayer events and stuff, and I just couldn't fit it in anywhere. But obviously next month is the Rumble match, so that's a chat event there, and then we had one in December. So just the sheer fact that I may be bringing it back once a month is good enough for me. And then whatever happens in the event, I'm okay with whatever. I mean, there's always bound to be something crazy and something that's going to take place when you have a chat event. I mean, you just can't get around it.
oh yeah, even if it's a Rumble too, you got to expect all the grand entrances.
Oh yeah.
It's not a Rumble without a crazy entrance. I think I hang glided in once. That was nice.
Hang glide. Wow. So for my last question, this has also kind of been talked about a little bit, but I'll add a little thing to this question to kind of make it a little more unique. So from what's been shown in QZW over the last few years, but let's focus towards the more newcomers. Now Tad will know a little bit more about this, I'm sure, with some of the NPCs that he's made and some of the new signups. But of the newest people, let's just put it from the last year into this year then. Of the members of the QZW roster, who do you think would fit in most in the RCWF days?
Oh, it's got to be Troop, man. Troop and Dono Payne, maybe. That they just the vibe you can get off of them. I'd just see them having tons of fun. I mean, it might be goofy, but it'd be fun.
I could see I could see if Troop had been around back in those days. I don't think there would have really ever been a major GVD thing. I think it would have been a Babu and Troop thing, to be honest, because
yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest. That's probably what.
Well, GVD got arrested all the time, so.
Yeah, but I mean, he still gets the mention and the throw out and stuff. But I think if there was a Troop back in those days, there really wouldn't be any mention of GVD at all. Barring him being in jail 99% of the time or whatever it was that he wasn't on the internet for, either way. So yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, really, anybody would have really fit in back then. It was as
that's why I had to go off.
It was as chaotic and crazy as we're explaining to you, or as I explain to people every time I get a chance to talk about it. It's just. You had certain people that hung out with certain people. You had certain cliques that hung out with certain cliques. You had certain BFFs that did stuff with certain BFFs. And then when it came time for everybody to all come together and come get ready for RCWF Pro Wrestling in the chat room, everybody was all in the same chat. And you had certain people that were just there and they were just kind of the loners and they got along with people and they were just there to have a match, have a good time. And then they were gone after their match was over. You had the people that supported the show from one end to the other and were there and, always asked if they could help out or, asked me, is there anything I can do to, help? Do you need a commentator? Do you need, this or that? You had those types. And then you had the people that were just kind of like the troublemakers. And for whatever reason, I never kicked them out or ejected them. Believe it or not, I've never really.
That always bugged me a little.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the years, and as much of a dick I was in the earlier times, I've never really permanently removed somebody. I've never done that. Like if I really had to think deep down and hard, there's probably three people if that, maybe two, that have permanently have never, and I've made it known that, never, ever, 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 ever. No one has. I mean, there's been some personal shit being thrown out, especially back in the old days. You know, some stuff said about my
CJ.
family, stuff said about me personally. I've probably been called every name in the book. My family's been probably labeled and called every name in the book over throughout the years. But no one has.
Tad off.
Right. I mean, and nobody has ever been like permanently banned for anything. But you had those types of people that would just come and they would do their match and they would argue like, "Oh, that's not the rule. You're not supposed to roll that," or you rolled a BAW on a KO and it's supposed to be D30, not D5, and you'd have certain stipulation trolls like that would come in there and do stuff, and people would be like, "Oh God, here he goes again trying to do this shit," and everyone knew who they were. And so you had those that would always come back, and I just wouldn't ever really remove them unless things got really, really out of hand, and at that point you'd see them come back like a year later, just like nothing ever happened. But I mean, it's basically the same crowd that you get right now. I mean, if you think about everything I just said, you can pretty much look around the QZW audience and say, oh, it's kind of the same stuff. You got these people that hang out with these people. You got these guys that are friends with these guys. You got the loners. You got the helpers. You got the troublemakers. You got the the people that are just there to have a match, watch it, and then leave. And it's
the worst ones were just always the arrogant role players.
Yeah, and that's the one thing you don't really get here because
the super elites, I'll call them.
Yeah, and that's something you didn't really ever. That really never caught on because RCWF was so noob friendly that, and I made it specifically clear that I never gave advantages to someone who could roleplay 7 paragraphs of a DDT over someone who only did 2. I never made that an emphatic point of the booking direction. And even as recently as on the old forums, when people did like these long ass promos in the JTV era, they were going on the forums doing these long ass promos that are like 50 pages long. And I made it clear that doing that is great and that's awesome, and I respect you for doing that and taking the time out to do that. That's really amazing. But that's not automatically going to ensure that you get a push or even a title shot. I mean, that's just one of the. That's just one.
Trent Reign never posted a promo. Trent Reign don't know what a promo even is.
You did a few. You did a few back in the day. You did a few.
Trent Reign just showed up and stayed there until 5 a.m. every night. That's what Trent Reign did.
Yeah, and that's one of the, as I used to call it, the 5 points of success. Doing promos is one of the 5 points. Being around and watching and supporting the show from beginning to end, that's another point of success. Your attitude, your mentality. Oh, you lost your match. What are you going to do? Are you going to complain and be a baby about it? Or are you just going to be like GG and, take it like what it is, a game, a video game, a joinable video game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another point of success. There's 5 points of it, and most commonly, the people that are at the top are the people that have done very well in 5 points. Not everyone's going to be like totally, an angel or Jesus on everything. I mean, we're all human and we all get emotions and get a little upset over losing to this or that, or you thought maybe that you're going to win, or maybe this was your time and maybe it didn't happen. And I understand that. A lot of emotions go into this, but it's how you act and how you react after that is what a lot of people look at and judge where you're going to go next.
So I had to bite my lip on the Rumble. I'm like, that's the rules. It fucking sucks, but that's how it works.
I'm going to tell you, I was the world's worst, and I don't know if I think I was still kind of like that by the time Trent came around, but it was nowhere near like how it was before that with me. I I mean, you're talking about a kid that was running a Fed with other kids, and it would be very, very, very tough not to see Thaddeus in a title match every single event.
Bad rules.
Right.
Bad rules.
Thad rules was a thing. Which
Thad's in every title match.
Right. If you guys have never heard of Thad rules, Thaddeus was booked in every single title match because I got pissed once. This was back during the BSTW days. This was like 2001. I got pissed off, and because people weren't showing, people were talking about this other Fed called BSTW, and this place is okay. I like this place. I'm like, motherfucker, you're in RCWF. How about let's try to promote RCWF and do some good stuff here. So I got pissed off, and my emotions got the better of me. I was a little kid back then, and I put myself in every title match, and that really didn't go over very well. But I didn't give a shit.
How many did you win?
I won like me and Shags won the tag belts. I think I won like 4 out of the 6 or 3 out of the 5. I can't fully remember, but I didn't win every single one of them. But I'm totally guilty of that. But way back in the day, these days I would say like probably the end of that last. Probably even NGPW. Probably when Tad Peters was the world champ, and then we had the Nate Rumble, and then I faced Nate at the WrestleMania in 05. Probably 05. I would almost credit it to the Umbrella Nationals in January 05. When I did that, that's kind of when my whole mentality of like, oh, I need to book myself. Oh, my characters get supreme. Just because it's me, I run the place, I should get
all 30 of them.
Yeah, all 30, 40 characters that I have. The 25 members of the Thad family. All getting booked, all getting title shots, all getting this and that. Probably
I was never really bothered by that because we always needed someone to fight.
Right.
And a lot of people wouldn't be willing to be a heel. So it's like, well, okay, Tad's like, I'll create a heel character. Here you go. Here's another heel.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I haven't really touched on for many years. Actually, not even the multimedia era I've really ever brought up the Thad family. So that's still more like a lore or a legend type deal of people actually knowing what it's all about. But that's something that I would like to explore here soon and bring back. That would be.
I want you to bring back the Garbage Man.
Tad the Garbage Man Peters. Yeah, that was that was one of the earliest gimmicks I gave for myself because I was all about Thaddeus up until like GCW, and then that's when Tad Peters, I role played as myself as a wrestler, as the son of Thaddeus, and one of the 2 earliest gimmicks I gave myself was that of a rapper like John Cena originally was, and a garbage man. And I would bring a trash can out to the ring and have like banana peels stuck to my suit and stuff, and do the whole Duke the dumpster drowsy thing, which nobody else was doing. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. I don't care.
That's why I like the Garbage Man.
So yeah, you had the Tad Peters, and you had the Thaddeus as the CEO, the chairman, the evil boss, the McMahon type. Then you had Piss Off, the cousin who was never
Piss Off.
Yeah, Piss Off, the originator of the poisoner finisher move that Thaddeus had, but he was also part of the Thad family, and he never really took off, but he was still a part of the family. And you had Shamu, the fat fuck of the family, who was just always the joke character, and people may remember Shamu now by teaming with Fat Sting, but.
Well, I say you can't hate Fat Shamu now. He's an icon from the old school multimedia area.
Yeah, as the Poner Rangers, yeah. But before that, he was just a random fat fucker that just came out with the rest of them. Then you had Poison. Poison was the insane son of a bitch.
Yoko Rainer was probably my favorite of the fat lineup.
Oh, Yoko Rainer, that was a Mark creation there. that was a all mark right there. But yeah, that was a good one too. But Poison was like when I really wanted to get hardcore and I wanted to take it out on somebody in a chat match. I pulled out Poison, and that's when shit got real and real bloody. And then Tad Peters started getting a lot more bloody in around the NGPW with like the Bloody Tuesday barbed wire cage matches and stuff. And then who else am I missing? We had Tempest in there for a while. He was UW, Unbeatable Wrestling. Yeah. He was kind of like Poison Jr., but he looked like Raven from TNA, the blonde Raven.
Yeah.
The Zombie.
We also had that Tempest guy that came over too. I remember him now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Zombie was part of the Thad family. He was always the outcast because he's a zombie, but he was also one of the founding members of the original Dead Zone, him and the Ghost.
Yep. Him and the Ghost, and then he got kicked out. He's the one... Was it him or Ghost that got kicked out for Nosferatu?
It was the Ghost. The Ghost got kicked out, and then the Zombie and Nosferatu became the Dead Zone with Sadler as their manager, which, you know...
That's the one that just fucking destroyed everyone.
Which you can tell that who came up with all this shit because of all the Resident Evil references, right? Sadler, Nosferatu, I mean, come on. And then that's when, like 2008, 2009, I think it was right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole Axis of Evil. Yeah, that was a good one, too.
That was when I entered Tad Inc. That was my very first time, was when the Axis of Evil was running around.
Yeah, Chimera was like a... I don't know how to explain it. He was like it was a creature with blades on all four extremities. It was a very weird... Yeah. Chimera never really had singles matches. He was just there to creep the fuck out of everybody and be there and hang out with in the promos with the Dead Zone. He was never...
in the Inferno Cage. That's when I remembered him. The Inferno Cage.
The Inferno Cage, yeah. Yeah, that was creepy as fuck. Yeah.
On fire.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. All right, anyone in the live chat, if you have any questions for Trent Reign, or for me, or for Gil, or for Spence for that matter, go ahead and post them up now, and then after we go through that, we will...
your stuff back a good while. I think we're supposed to end at 9, and it's almost 10 now.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
And then once we're done with that, we'll do the QZW report with Gil, and then that'll do it for us, and then we'll be ready for some Left 4 Dead after this. Yeah, this went over about an hour. Actually, 2 hours. But that's fine. Well, it always runs over every week anyways, so... A lot of history, a lot of knowledge, and... You know, some people are really interested in that type of stuff. They want to know what happened before they came along. Because, I mean, we've been doing this...
I remember an awful lot. And that was the human rule book. Even Tad would be like, hey, is this right? He'd say it in chat. I'd be like, yes, Tad, that's right. You wrote it. So I don't remember.
Yeah, I wrote the damn thing, but I don't remember all. Yeah.
Tricombular. I think I was the only one who ever pulled that thing off, like, consistently. The Tricombular was a free move after you hit 3 reg moves in a row.
That's right, yeah.
3D30.
There's just some moves that never really took off and people didn't really ever use, so they never really got remembered.
If I felt like it, I forgot. I'm just as guilty because I forgot all about that Snow Brawl. I could have had Hall of Fame dice running the whole time, and I didn't even bother to think about it.
Hall of Fame dice, yeah.
+5.
+5, yeah.
Shit.
I'm not seeing any questions in the live chat. I think we pretty much covered everything from beginning to end.
We talked about 2 damn hours. I think we hit everything.
Yeah, we pretty much hit everything.
Even Graham got to hit what my favorite damn food was. What's your favorite color? Isn't that obvious? Look at my clothes.
All right, so with that being said, we always do end our podcast off with the QZW report, which is basically the rundown of what happened last Tuesday with all the matches that took place, and that is presented by Gil. So now I'm going to hand this over to Gil, and here is your QZW report.
All right, a big night last week with a championship match. We're going to start off with Shimmer. Caitlyn defeated Goddess Dawn again. I really can't give it more than 2 stars because I've seen this matchup 4 times now. But apparently they're going to meet at Doomsday in a tables match. Because, as you know, tables match really work in 2014. The next matchup was Jazz, Ditsy Dotsy, Victoria, and Daphne to win the women's hardcore title. It would have gotten 3.5 stars, but Jazz had a freaking default moveset. And I'm going to make it a point that every time I see a default moveset and remember it, I'm going to tack off a half a star. So this gets 3 stars. Jade Sangreal defeated Sonia Virtanen to the absolute delight of Jarek Vanders. This was actually pretty good for a singles match. 3 stars. Julie beat up Mandy Michaels backstage in Mandy Michaels' debut, so not a very good. Huh?
Andy Michaels? What the hell?
She's back. She has a shirt now that says "I don't give an F."
Nice.
But she got beat up by
fits
Julie.
the character pretty well, too. Very well.
Yeah, she got beat up by Julie. I believe, I'm not sure because I haven't checked the win-loss records, but I believe Julie's the only person to have 3 wins and no losses right now. That got 2.5 stars because it's a backstage brawl and it's absolutely milk with toast. Next, I believe Contagion was next. And we've proved once and for all that the QZW brass do not give one shit about the television title because the contenders for this triple threat number 1 contendership match was a guy who wasn't in action for a year because he got injured, a guy who hadn't won for a year because he just lost, and Sonic Chrono. When Sonic Chrono is the most reputable of your 3 people, I think you might want to check out your division. Sean Broderick won via...
1 second. That's always been the case about the TV title. It brought back a good thing with Tad. Tad might remember this. The only time the TV title actually took off is when Mark himself got a hold of it and imposed a 30-minute time limit where you had to pin him within 30 minutes, like the WCW era. And in a chat match, trying to beat someone in 30 minutes is like trying to
Fucking
cook your food
impossible.
and eat it at the same time.
You're right. I've only seen it once, and it didn't even matter because it was an hour-long Iron Man match, and I had to win in overtime.
Yeah,
I think it's
always
because
been
the
that
problem
way.
that the RCWF TV title has is that there's a champion that no one likes, so that always wins. Back then it was Archangel, now it's Chris Jones. So, I still like triple threat matches. They're my favorite kind of match. This was pretty good. We saw Lil Jack jack him up. Sonic Chrono went out first, and Sean Broderick won. So, good start for the 2014 Jobber of the Year, getting a win. 3 stars. Leo Reigns defeated Sheamus, and Sean Libby defeated Wade Barrett, both 3.5 stars. Oh, no, wait. Leo Reigns versus Sheamus gets 3.5. Sean Libby gets 2.5 because he had a terrible finish. He won with a freaking abdominal stretch. You are not the Rogers Foundation. You don't get to win with an abdominal stretch. The Red River Connection. Yep. Red River Connection defeated Mr. Troop and Norns. Very good debut for the Red River Connection. They should be the number 1 contenders for the vacant Contagion tag titles.
Wait, you know that's not their real name, right?
That's not what they came out, and the guy said Red River Connection.
Yeah, and the game is freaking retarded. It's not. That's.
I know, it's a joke. I had a joke coming up because later on, Mr. Troop and Norns beat up IPT in the parking lot. I was going to say, oh, they're not going to be number 1 contenders, not like Red River Connection. It's actually Insane Pain Train, which is Donovan Payne and Justin saying, this was match of the night. This was very, very enjoyable. It was being raved on all throughout the night. 4.5 stars. Big D over Scipio. It ended with Mike Metal standing tall. I know I'm probably getting heat for this for not giving Big D more stars, but I can't give a match that ends with Mike Metal standing tall at the end of Contagion more than 3.5 stars. And now Livewire, Zack Hero over Ace of Spades. Yeah, that was pretty good. 3 stars. Volano over Max Height. I can't listen to Max Height's theme anymore because it's being played constantly on this college football game. So now every time Max Height's going to come out, I'm going to think football. Yeah, Volana won 4 stars. Martin Starr defeated Raji. Good for you, Martin Starr. Martin Starr is the #1 contender for the Young Lions title. I really hope he wins it. So 4 stars. Nieto defeated Doug Bevers by DQ, 1 star because it ended in a complete schmoz. And then Timothy Chen and Gil Thunderstrike defeated Far Beyond Better in a 1.5 match because you can name every single finisher in the match. Name every single Far Beyond Better finisher and Chen's finisher. We got hit with it, and we won because Brendan Richards is an idiot that can't leave the ring. So, yeah, that was pretty bad. It was like, wait, how the hell did we win? So, yeah, match of the night, Insane Pain Train versus Mr. Troop and Norns. And we're probably going to see that at Doomsday, if I believe that's what we're going to see. Because they deserve it. Don't you agree, Tad?
Yeah. I mean, are you talking about Norns and Troop versus Insane Pain Train?
Yeah, because right now they're #1 and #2 contenders, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't go again.
Yeah, it would make sense. Again, you still got 2 shows before the pay-per-view, and you got the Killer Clowns running around, so you never know. But as it stands right now, it looks like it will be.
Okay, just a quick Doomsday update. We have Caitlyn versus Goddess Dawn in a tables match. The Knight versus Martin Starr for the Young Lions Championship. Also continuing the 2014 Food of the Year, which was Martin Starr versus title matches. We have Sean Libby's versus Leo Reigns in for the European Championship, which I think really should be happening for a higher title. Not to disparage the European title, it's just like these are 2 well-known big names, and it seems like they've just not gotten past that glass ceiling that I think they should. We have Yamashita Maharu defending against Jessica Havoc. Quick question, where's Havoc from?
Ohio.
Oh, I thought she was foreign for a moment, so I thought it was like, oh, she's continuing her world tour. Well, I guess the world tour goes through America now. And Jack Johnson versus Crow. Spoiler, yeah, because Crow had stolen the belt, and he's in the black room where holding out the belt. So we have 5 matches already for Detroit, Michigan. It should be a great Doomsday. But that was a QCW report. I tried to do it. I tried to watch the show again before the podcast to actually make him a lot better this time, instead of me just guessing at the star ratings. I think it went better.
So here's a question for you then. With Buzz being on the banner, and there's no main event yet, what do you think the main event's going to be?
Okay, if Buzz is running wild on Livewire, the problem is, like Spence has said, we haven't seen no Outlaw at all.
Yeah, but Buzz gave him 7 days to show up. That means tomorrow night.
Plus, we still don't know who the real GM is, because I refuse to believe Snowman got the job, and the way he's been acting gives me reason to believe that he has not got the job yet. But if he does have the job,
better of the 2 alternatives.
I still rather have what's his face, the guy who's now #1 for the TV title. Yeah, interesting, TV title not on the roster list. But Buzz versus Outlaw would be great. It might just be a #1 contendership. Buzz versus Raji and Jarek, because he's been messing up the rankings of the QCW Championship. But I definitely expect Buzz to be there. I expect to see a lot of Pentakill on this. You can make a case for 3 Pentakill matches, and the only person that'd be out in 4, because I keep forgetting Jack Johnson's part of it. One's already there. You could have John Chaos versus Rogue, the IPT versus Shade Vikings, and Buzz versus whoever. So this could be Pentakill's night on January 27th.
And then don't forget, you've got the vacant Intercontinental Championship on Contagion as well.
And on Shimmer, we could see both Intercontinental titles. Of course, are we done with the Beautiful People versus the Dungeon of Doom? Is Jazz going to defend her hardcore title? I mean, will me and Chen finally get the Raikkonen tag match?
Will you finally save Tank from being smashed in the car window?
Okay, we picked him up after the show. We took him to my medical plane. He's fine, I'm sure.
Okay.
As assuming he's not about to betray us.
What? Why would Tank betray you?
Because it's wrestling, and
He got his head put through a car window.
you never know. That could have been a clone, a Nazi clone. I'm just very paranoid. Okay, I thought we were gonna get beat up after the cage match, and then it was like, oh no, we just taken that Tank, and now we put it in through a car window. I don't have very good things with car windows. The last 2 times I got put through that car window, it's not fun.
What were you saying, that after the cage match was over on Livewire, you were afraid that you were going to get some bad news?
No, I thought we were gonna get attacked. I thought they were just gonna come down and beat us with chairs or something. I was banking on it. I was like, oh, they got to Tank. That's something I didn't expect.
Yeah, because you left him back there all by himself.
And that's why he's going to betray
we
you.
would have brought him out if the game actually let us have managers for cage matches.
Oh, well, if that were the case, then you know that Brooks and Zach Hero would have came out too.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, you're there.
Someone got hit by a random RKO.
From out of nowhere!
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Watch
Alright.
Doomsday on the 27th, yes.
Yeah, watch Doomsday on the 27th. All right, well, I guess that'll do it for podcast number 7 with Trent Reign.
Hey, I'm off.
What?
Uh-oh, I'm off that day. Uh-oh.
Well, you did say that Trent Reign was going to show up at the next 4 pay-per-views.
I said try. But I am off that day, so that puts pressure on me.
And you're also on Livewire now, so that's going to shake things up, I think, quite a bit.
Uh-oh. There's no main event
Buzz
yet, right?
versus Trent Reign.
I'm just messing with you. Too much pressure. Pressure.
Although, speaking of next week's podcast, I am still doubtful you're going to get this guy because of who he is and
Who, Babu?
his record. Hey, he's flaked out on more events than I've been a part of, especially Shotgun.
Hey. Who are you to deny the Babster? He'll be here.
It's not like he's
offered him
Rogan
Reed at the
Reed.
door. Don't worry, he'll be here.
Oh yeah, it is. Rogan Reed, he does have a worse track record.
So does Max Height, apparently.
Ooh.
Well, he probably won't get booked next week or tomorrow.
We'll have the Babs on, don't you worry. I got ways of making Babu show up.
Okay, then I'm going to bring my gas mask tomorrow because I'm pretty sure it's going to be high city next week.
Yeah. Me and Babs will smoke some swishers up at the same time. Light them up. Smoke them if you got them. YOLO swags.
YOLO swags.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Trent, for being here tonight and spending in 3 hours with me.
Yeah, for my first time voice ever being heard on anything.
Yeah, you've never been on a D&G. You've never been a commentator for anything. You've never streamed before. This is literally the first time anyone has ever heard you before.
Yeah, because I always hate my voice, but
Your voice is fine. Don't worry about it.
it's sick voice, so it's different.
Well, everyone just
I
heard
can get by.
Everyone just heard 3 hours of your voice, so you have nothing to be ashamed about.
And now my career is over.
All right. As always, Gil and Spence, it's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back next Monday for podcast number 8 with my boy Babs. That should be an interesting story. You don't want to miss that. Coming up next, Left 4 Dead 2 multiplayer on Steam. We'll be starting it in just a few moments after this is over. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you in just a few moments.